This will be the best video editing course you have ever seen because I've broken down all of the tactics that I've used to go from not being able to land my first client to 7 months later making 10k per month into 4 stages. How to make your first dollar with editing, what to do when you make it between $1 and $1,000 per month, between 1 to 5k per month, between 5 and 10k per month. So it doesn't matter was it already making thousands per month or you're trying to make your first dollar. This video will teach you everything that you need to know about how to improve your editing, how to build the plans that makes YouTubers come to you, how to outreach and get clients the same day, and how to charge higher prices in each stage. And I've made my first 10k per month and worked with YouTubers with millions of subscribers, all at 15 years old. So if I can do it, then you can as well. So let's get into it with the action steps if you still haven't made your first dollar yet with editing. Stage 1. Where you are, you haven't gotten your first client yet. And to graduate, you need to start being presentable. To go more into detail, the problem with your editing is you don't know how to use Premiere at all. And to fix that problem, you need to learn the fundamentals of editing. How to make stuff move around smoothly and how to make a watchable video. So I'll break down editing in 2 parts for the first stage. And they are making crazy animations and making good videos. Saving emoji for making good videos because that's the boring part. So we're going to start with making crazy animations. Now there's lots of stuff to learn about animations. So I made one acronym that goes over all of it. And that acronym is SUS. SUF. That was a typo, my bad. It stands for making your animation smooth, understandable, and fancy. This acronym includes everything you need to know. And we're going to cover how to make understandable animations in the second stage and how to make fancy animations in the third stage. Again, trust me, this acronym holds way more than you think. It took my animations from looking like this to looking like this. Again, this SUF acronym includes everything, and we're going to start with the first letter, S, which stands for smooth. Smoothness is the difference between animations that look like this and looking like this. It's a big change and it's fundamental to learning editing. Now we're gonna break making smooth animations into 3 parts. The first thing that we're gonna cover is realism. Now, the whole point of animations is to replicate footage that couldn't be or wasn't recorded. For example, take this edit.
Through just the first layer of obsidian, it would have no chance to make it to me on the inside.
Ideally, there would be footage to explain this. I wouldn't have to make an animation for it. But there wasn't. There was no footage to explain this. So it's my responsibility as an editor to explain it with animations instead. So I did. And the animations explained what's being said, which increases their attention for 2 reasons. First of all, the viewer is less confused. He now knows what the YouTuber was talking about. And the second reason is that he has something to look at. So I basically replicated footage that couldn't be or wasn't recorded. In this example, it couldn't be recorded because it's a hypothetical, which is gonna be the reason for most of your animations. Hypotheticals. When someone tells us stories that we don't have footage of, or gives an example or explains something, there's no footage to show it, then you make an animation for it because you need to show it to the viewer, but it couldn't be or wasn't recorded. Therefore, you make an animation. That's the whole point of animation. So, of such a good, then the rule number 1 is to make animations as realistic as possible. You try to make the viewer not even know it's an animation. You try to make it as close as possible to actual footage. So I wanted to keep this in mind for the next point, which is having no sudden velocity in your animations. And I'm gonna explain what that means. As a general rule, there are no sudden movements in real life. They're pretty rare. Most movements in real life are accelerated and then de-accelerated. The image you see right now is a speed graph. The higher the line goes, the faster the object was moving. And the horizontal line is basically time passage. So you can see at the start, it was moving very slowly because the line was low, and then at the middle it accelerated and the line went higher, and then it reached a peak and then de-accelerated over time. For example, a car. The car was accelerated and then de-accelerated. It doesn't instantly start moving at 120 kilometers per hour. It needs to be accelerated first, and when it stops, it doesn't stop in the same millisecond. It takes some time to de-accelerate. So you will use this exact speed graph a lot to make animations in Premiere because you're trying to keep them realistic, and realistically, most movements are accelerated and then de-accelerated. Before I go on other speed graphs, let me show you how to make this exact one in Premiere. Okay, so I imported an image of a car over here, and the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the Everything Editing back and use the default transform preset. It will show up over here in effects control. If you haven't downloaded the back, then you will need to search up transform, drag the transform to the image, and increase the shutter angle. But if you have the back, you can just use the default transform. I'm gonna go to where I want to start the animation, so let me say that I want it to start moving 1 second in. So I'm gonna go 1 second in exactly, and I'm gonna click on this clock beside the position. So you see this position over here, there's a clock beside it. So I'm gonna click on the clock. It creates a keyframe. So it basically saves the position of this car in this moment of time. So 1 second in, the car is on the left side of the screen. Now I'm gonna go 2 seconds in. Or actually, let's go 3 seconds in, so the animation is a bit longer. And using this value over here, I'm gonna drag it and move the car to the right side of the screen. Now it creates a second position, a second moment of time. It now knows that 1 second in, we have the car on the left, and 2 seconds in, we have the car on the right. It creates the animation in between them. It creates it moving from left to right in these 2 seconds. If you're paying attention, you're gonna notice it's the example of the unsmooth, choppy animation. So we still have to make it smooth. So we're gonna click on this arrow over here, and we're gonna select pause keyframe. Now as you see here, there's 2 handles that popped up. These handles we can move anywhere, and it will change the speed of the car in different moments. It will change the speed graph. The kind of movement we want right now is a graph where we move both handles to the ground and closer to each other. Now it creates this acceleration and deceleration like we explained in the PowerPoint. So now if you play the animation, it's gonna look like this, which is way smoother. And just like that, we made this animation smooth. We replicated how a car moves in real life. And this is the first graph that you have learned. Both keyframes on the ground and closer to each other to have an acceleration and deceleration. Now going back to the PowerPoint. Okay, now that you have learned how to make that graph, there are 2 other types of graphs that will be created from it. They happen when the acceleration or the deceleration gets interrupted. Take for example, gravity. The ball accelerates till it hits the ground, then it stops, making a graph like this one. Or a car crash. It's pretty tragic, but nonetheless it followed a speed graph like this one. It started off slow, it accelerated, it became fast, but then instead of deaccelerating, it was interrupted. Therefore, it created a speed graph like this one. An example of the second graph that will be created from this one is a car. Again, if we're paying attention, you would have noticed the car came on the screen with lots of velocity and then slowed down and deaccelerated, creating a speed graph like this one. It started off fast and then deaccelerated with no acceleration at the beginning. Here's how it looks like one last time. And here's how we make these 2 types of graphs in Premiere. Back to this animation, if we Ctrl Z and go back to the T4 graph, this time it will be slightly different. Instead of pushing both of them to the middle and downward, we will only push one side to the middle and downward, while the other side we move to the extreme right. And as you see here, it creates a kind of out graph, the one that we were explaining. So for example, if we say that over here the car hits a wall, then this is how the animation would look like. It starts off slow, it started to accelerate, but then it stops suddenly. Why does it not deaccelerate? Because instead of moving this keyframe to the middle as well, we moved it to the right. You can see how it changes between types of graphs. So this is the out graph. If we want to do it the other way, so we want it to start fast but then deaccelerate, we do the same exact thing but the opposite side. We move this one to the extreme left and we move this side to the middle and downward. Let's say for example the car came from off the screen, so we couldn't see it accelerate. It will have this kind of graph because we only can see the deaccelerating part. So this is how it would look like. As you see, it starts off fast and then slows down. So this is how all 3 types of graphs look so far. The first one is only the acceleration. This is how the handles look like, one to the left and the other is in the middle and downward. The second one is the middle graph that we covered before, which is pause, middle and pause down. And the third one is only acceleration and it stops suddenly, like gravity when you hit the ground or like a car when it crashes. The same exact thing, one to the middle and the other to the extreme right, just the opposite side of the other one. Here's how it looks like again. Just remember how these handles look like because you will use them a lot. In reality, this was the speed graph of the cars. They were supposed to accelerate and then deaccelerate. But the first half was off screen. So this was left, the second half. So the car didn't immediately start with 120 kilometers per hour, but it accelerated off screen. So we don't have to animate that. We can just animate it from the peak speed to slowing down. Again, one last time, here's how it looks like. Here's how an unrealistic graph looks like versus a realistic one. So the second concept of making smooth animations is instead of choppy sudden movements, you follow these 3 speed graphs. You either make any object accelerate and deaccelerate, or make it accelerate and interrupt it midway by hitting a wall for example, or make it start fast and then deaccelerate. And you would choose which one to use depending on real life. For example, if I want to make an animation of someone hitting a ball to the wall, I would think, imagine this is a ball. What if I just threw it at the wall? What will happen? Well, first of all, it will be in my hand. Therefore, there will be an acceleration as I move my hand. And then it will be thrown into the air. By the time that it hits the wall, it will not deaccelerate. It will be interrupted. It will stop immediately. Therefore, the speed graph for it would be an acceleration one. It will accelerate as I throw it, but then stop immediately once it hits the wall. So for the animation of me throwing a ball to the wall, I would use an acceleration only type graph. Now the acceleration and deacceleration could be as fast or as slow as needed. The goal is to keep it realistic. I call this graph a mid graph, this an in graph, the one that starts up fast and then slows down, and this an out graph. Remember the names because you use them a lot. In graph, mid graph, out graph. And by replacing sudden movements with smooth graphs like these, you accomplish the second step and make your animations realistic. Now, let's actually put it into action. Let me show you how to realistically use this inside of Premiere. Now, back into Premiere, I imported two images. One is the ground and one is a ball. Now, let's try to make an animation where this ball falls to the ground and bounces. Later in the video, I'll explain to you how the animations, how we think of the animations, what they're supposed to show. But right now, we're just talking about the movements, how to use Premiere. So, a good practice is trying to make this ball bouncy. Now, just to start, I want to show you an extreme version of this, which I'm gonna show using my preset pack. If you import bounce on ground bouncy, you will see how extreme the keyframes can go. These are all keyframes inside of one transform, and this is how it looks like. It's super bouncy, it has so many small details, and you don't have to go this extreme, you cannot at the beginning. I'm gonna do a simpler, more beginner-friendly version of this. Sorry if I scared you with the keyframes, I'm just showing you the levels of keyframing that there is. It's a skill that is super hard and takes months to get good at. So don't expect to make animations like that in your first try. After importing the default transform, we're gonna make two keyframes again. One starting in the air, and the second is going down to the ground. Basically, gravity. Now, if you're paying attention, you're gonna remember that gravity has an acceleration only graph. When it hits the ground, it stops. Before it hits the ground, it keeps accelerating. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do an acceleration type graph like this. And let's see how it looks like now. Amazing. Now this gravity, it fell to the ground, but we want it to bounce. So after it falls to the ground, we're gonna make a third keyframe and we're gonna make it go up again into the air. And if you think about bouncing, when it bounces, it doesn't accelerate into a bounce. It starts off super fast and only de-accelerates after that because of the gravity. So we're gonna use a de-acceleration only graph for this. We're gonna move this downward to the middle and we're gonna move this to the left. Now let's see how this looks. The bounce here is too extreme, so let's move it to make it slower. And let's move it downward a bit. Let's see how it looks now. Much better. Now, every time that I had a bouncy ball and I throw it to the ground, it never bounced and stayed in the air. Sadly, it almost always, I remember them falling again to the ground because of gravity. So let's make it fall again to the ground. Again, the same way, gravity is an acceleration only graph. And by the way, we're not gonna make it to the extreme right like this. We're not gonna move it exactly to the middle. We're gonna move it slightly off the middle so the gravity doesn't show as an extreme. This is how it looks like so far. Now it's gonna bounce again, but this time it's gonna bounce lower. So let's move it only to here, for example, and make it the acceleration only graph because it's a bounce. This is how it looks like now. Again, we move it downward and we use an acceleration only graph. This is how it looks like now. And then we're gonna make one last small bounce. It's gonna move up here, acceleration only graph, and then move downward to the ground, and this is the last bounce that we're gonna do, acceleration only graph. Usually, and for the rest of the video, I'm gonna start calling them in, out, mid graphs. Let's see how it looks like right now. Bounces again but lower, and then bounces one last time and then stops. The ball has become bouncy. Now let's do one more movement. We're gonna use another transform effect. So now we have two transform effects. In the second one, let's do a mid graph. Let's move it from left to right. Again, to do the middle graph, we push them both down and do the middle. Let's see how the two overlapping animations, the animation of it going left to right and the bouncing animation overlap. It looks super smooth in my opinion. I love it a lot. It doesn't have any meaning yet. We're gonna go over making understandable animations that are good for the videos you edit in the second stage. But right now, you can only worry about making smooth animations and just do anything that comes to mind while making your first re-edit, which we're gonna go over in a second in this stage. Now, back to the PowerPoint. And like that, you're into the second concept, which is no sudden velocity. Now into the third one is no stillness. This one is quite straightforward. Always have some kind of movement playing. It's confusing for viewers when nothing is happening or even moving. Even for a couple of frames, they assume the video lagged. And it's way better for attention to have constant movement. Means that at all times there's someone moving. So here are 4 ways to always have constant movement. And they are zoom ins and outs, panning movements, handheld shake on objects, handheld shake on camera. Starting with zoom ins and outs. Here's how do you look like. For an otherwise static animation, I just added the zoom in and zoom out and then added movement and life into the scene. If I didn't add them, the animation would look way worse. It's such a small detail, but whenever you see that there's nothing moving in your animation, you either add zoom ins and zoom outs or one of the other 3 ways, which, for example, you can add panning movements like this one. Again, quite straightforward, otherwise it would be static, so I added just a pan, a slow one. Or you can add handheld shake on objects. For example, this wizard and bedrock, it's just moving around. It's a pretty small movement, but it adds life into the scene and makes it look not static. So it helps us have constant movement. And the fourth way is add handheld shake on the whole camera, on the whole scene. It's not the objects or the images inside of the scene, the whole scene is moving around slowly. This is called handheld shake, and instead of putting it on one object, like in this weather animation, I have put it on the whole scene. And boom. Constant movement. So whenever you feel the animation is static, you either add zoom ins and outs, panning movements, handheld shake on objects, or handheld shake on camera. That way you never have stillness in your animations and they will look way better. To recap, we went over making animations that are realistic, having no sudden velocity and following speed graphs, and having no stillness. You now know how to make smooth animations, which is the bare minimum. We're gonna go over the fun parts later in the video, making understandable animations and fancy animations, but we had to start with the fundamentals. For now, this is all you need to know about animations to make your first dollar. So that was the making crazy animations part. Now into making good videos. I will break down making good videos into cutting and music and sound effects, and also making good animations, but we already covered that. So now we need to focus on cutting and music and sound effects. Starting with cutting. The point of cutting is to keep the video engaging by removing parts where nothing happens. Something quote unquote happening doesn't only mean someone talking, but any event that is important to the video. The most simple example of this is talking head videos. The only things that could happen when someone is talking to the camera is them talking to the camera. So we just cut out all of the silences. Just make sure to make the cut from the first frame of the new sentence and cut off a few frames from the last sentence. And then you add an 8-frame constant gain transition on the audio to smooth out the cut. Don't worry, I will show you how to do that. You do that by clicking on the cut and pressing Shift plus D, then changing the duration to 8 frames. And like that, you know how to cut out silences. But in other types of videos, there might be important events that happen in silence. For example, number 1, silences when something is shown on the screen. For example, this
Or
scene.
chords. You already know which one I'm gonna pick.
He wasn't saying anything, but he was showing on the screen the difference between the two blocks. Therefore, I shouldn't cut it. The second example is comedic
You
silences.
just need like 2 times the amount.
That was a joke, and I would have ruined it if I cut out the silence. The third example of this is silences to let the viewer digest what's being said. Like what I'm doing in this video. I slow down my speech when I'm saying something complex, and I include some silence moments for you to digest what I said. So just make sure not to cut these 3 out. Silences when something is shown on the screen, comedic silences, and silences to let the viewer digest the content. Now you know enough about cutting to make your first dollar. Keep the video engaging by removing parts where nothing happens. And I showed you how to cut out silences, and I showed you what silences not to cut out. So that's enough cutting. Now into music and sound effects. We're gonna cover it in 3 parts. First of all, it's a basic overview. Second is balancing loudness. Third is where to get them. Starting with a basic overview of music and sound effects. Starting with music. Music is background beats that reflect the pace and emotion of the video. So the questions you need to ask yourself before choosing music are: what's the emotion in this part of the video? And what's the pacing in this part of the video? For example, if we were editing a fight scene, then the music would be fast-paced and intense. Meanwhile, if we were editing an explaining scene where someone was given exposition, where he was explaining what happened or what's gonna happen, then the music would be chill and slow paced, and the timed challenge could be intense and slow paced. Again, pacing and emotion are 2 different things. It could be intense but slow paced. And silly challenges could be funny and fast paced. Funny because it's not actually serious, and fast paced because it's also still a challenge. So whenever you're doing music, you need to think about pacing and emotion. And then just choose a song, put it on the timeline, see how it sounds, and then try again. The way you get better at music is just trying lots of different types of music. Now, into sound effects. The point of sound effects is to make the video more immersive. We have 5 senses: hearing, smell, taste, touch, and vision. Without sound effect, the viewer can only use one to watch the video, which is smelling. He can only smell the video. Saying. He can only see the video. He cannot hear it. That was a typo, sorry. I wrote down smelling instead of saying accidentally. Pretty common mistake. Sound effects adds a second sense. So now they can see and hear the video, which makes the video more immersive, which means higher retention. So for reference, so you know actually what I'm talking about, here's some sound effects that you will use a lot. First of all, it's a bass boom sound effect. Here's how it sounds. When we put the text on the screen, we play the boom sound effect, which gives it more importance. It makes it have an impact. So that's literally how you use bass boom. You just put it on any sentence to make it have more impact. And then we have a riser sound effect, which is the exact opposite. Just like the bass boom, it adds impact. But this time, instead of putting it when something important happens or is said, you put it before it, which adds anticipation and makes the things that is important have more of an impact. And then we have more of functional sound effects, like sci-fi sound effects. Here's how it sounds like. Use it for animations. Most of your animations will look sci-fi. It will be like the one I just showed. So I use it a lot for my animations. And then we have pop-up sound effects. Quite straightforward. When you have a pop-up animation or a pop-out animation, you just use the sound effect so the viewer can hear it. And then we have a heavy whoosh sound effect. When anything heavy moves across the screen, it makes a whoosh sound effect. So quite straightforward, when anything heavy moves across the screen in your videos, you add a whoosh sound effect to simulate how it would sound in real life. And then there's light whoosh sound effect. Here's how it looks like. It's for smaller movements and more light movements. And then there's a tick sound effect. Here's how it looks like. Use it for a lot of different animations. For example, for this one, it was a counter going up. So the appropriate sound effects that I used was a ticking sound effect. Think, for example, a cash counter. When you put in cash and it starts counting it, it makes a sound effect similar to this one. And then we have the sound effects that you will use most of the time, which are specific sound effects. I went over sound effects that aren't as obvious because it took me a long time to learn them because they weren't obvious. But now these are the obvious sound effects. For example, if there was an animal, then you add the animal sound. If there was a dog moving and the mic couldn't pick up its barking, then you add a bark sound effect for it. If this fire on the scene or in your animations, then you add a fire sound effect. If someone is typing something in their keyboard, then you add a keyboard sound effect. If there's a cup of glass that crashes, then you add a glass shattering sound effect. Take for example these animations that I have been showing you. I was showing a wither and some bedrock blocks, so I made the specific sound effects for both of them.
Is by trapping withers inside of bedrock. And this bedrock has to be a perfect 3x3x3 cube, or the withers will escape.
I added an explosion sound for the explosion, I added a wither sound for the wither, and a bedrock sound for the bedrock. So these are the specific sound effects and all of the non-obvious sound effects covered. Now that was the basic overview. You now know how the sound effects work and how music works. In music, you think about emotion and pacing. For sound effects, you just use the sound effects that make sense, that would be made in real life. And I've covered all of the non-obvious, unrealistic ones that you will use as well. Now into the second part, which is balancing loudness. As a general rule, there would be three main sounds that would be playing in videos, which are sound effects, voiceover, and music. Here are the loudness levels for all of them. For sound effects, you will try to keep it low yellow and high green. This is the audio meter you will find inside of Premiere. When you play your sound effects, don't make them go to high yellow or low red. Don't make it go to the red level. You always keep it under red and between yellow and green. That's the loudness level for it. For voiceover, you keep the voiceover low red and high yellow. You don't make it peak, you don't make it go high red, but you want to keep it like high yellow. Any lower than that, then it would be hard to hear the voiceover. Any higher than that, then it would peak. Which basically means that when something gets too loud, the audio just starts sounding weird. The too loud level is high red, so you keep it low red and high yellow. And for music, most of the time, you keep them in the green area. You don't make them enter yellow because then it will be hard to hear the voiceover and sound effects. And you don't make them super low, like low green, because then nobody would even notice there's music. And the like you didn't even add them in the first place. Unless it's a montage, then music can go up to high yellow. So a montage when nobody is talking and there's no sound effects happening, and it's just like a time lapse. In that case, music takes the role of the voiceover because there's no voiceover. But whenever the voiceover comes back, music goes back to green. So here are the loudness levels for each. When you add the sound effects and you play them, you should be low yellow, high green. When you add the voiceover only and play it, it should be low red and high yellow. When you add the music only and play it, it should be around the green area. So that was balancing loudness. That's how loud to make them. Now where to get them, where to get the actual music and sound effects. It's quite simple. They're all inside of the everything editing pack. There's 14,000 plus sorted out unique sound effects and 600 plus uncopyrighted sorted out music. It took me more than a year to collect all of them, and you can now just download it for free. The book also has way more stuff like weekly coaching calls with me, so you can just come on a call with me every Saturday and ask me any questions you have. It also has like 200 plus presets, detailed presets that I made myself that you can just download for free. It's the first link in the description, completely free. This isn't even an opt-in. I don't even ask for the email, you just click on the link and download it. So go download it right now and you'll be ready to start editing. And again, it's free. I like that we have covered the basic overview, balancing loudness, and where to get them. That concludes music and sound effects, and we've covered also cutting, which concludes making good videos. We've also covered making crazy animations, so now you know enough editing to make your first dollar online. We will revisit these back in the later stages when you need to scale more. So this isn't everything to know about editing, it's just enough to know about editing to make your first dollar. Because right now nobody knows that they even edit. Then we need to fix that before learning more about animation. And like that, you have fixed your editing problem. Now you know the fundamentals, you know how to make stuff move around smoothly, and you know how to make watchable videos, which is enough for the stage. Now let's go with the problem with your brand. You don't even have a band, or your brand makes you look homeless. So to fix that, we're gonna set up a basic brand and make it presentable. We will cover where to set up a brand, how to set it up correctly, and how to grow it. Starting with where to set up a brand. Without telling you my whole life story, I've tried all platforms. I've tried Discord, I've tried Fiverr, I've tried Upwork, I've tried Twitter, I've tried Instagram, and have tried YouTube Jobs. So let me tell you what's best. First of all, No. Don't even think of starting on Fiverr or Upwork. It's a shithole and you will make lots of more money on the other platform. With Discord, the problem is it's too low barrier to find jobs because you can't build a brand on Discord. You don't have any followers, you don't have any bands, you're just a random account. Same thing to YouTube jobs. You can't build much of a brand. And recently, I've run an experiment to see how good Instagram is for video editors. I reposted posts that already got 60k views on Twitter on Instagram. Long story short, it got me 100 views, 1 follower, and 0 inbounds. And that's after consulting multiple editors on Instagram, asking them how it works and optimizing everything. I've done everything right. I've posted about 10 posts that got 60k views on Twitter, and they got me this many views, followers, and inbounds. Basically, none. Meanwhile, the same post got me 60k views, about 800 followers, and around 50 inbounds on Twitter. So you can choose any platform you want. But if your goal is to make money, then go on Twitter and save the months it took me to build a brand. And of course, I'm not affiliated with Twitter. I'd wish. So that's where to set up a brand. Now, how to set it up correctly. Now, here's the problem. To remind you, you don't have a brand or your brand makes you homeless. But here's the bigger problem. You don't even know what a brand means. So think of a brand like a bouquet of flowers. To make the bouquet good, then you add flowers. To make it even better, you add more flowers or better flowers. The quality and quantity of the flowers dictate how much people value the bouquet. The more flowers you add, the more people find it valuable. The better the flowers you add, the more people find it valuable. The bouquet is your overall brand. The vase of the bouquet is your Twitter. That's what holds the actual flowers. And the flowers are the edits you post. To improve your brand, you gotta post more edits or post better edits. A bad edit is like a rotten flower. Even if you posted other good edits, the bad edit makes the overall bouquet less valuable. Which is why you only post edits of the better than your last post. Because there's no point of showing the world a rotten flower. We're gonna go more in detail about that in the later stages. But right now, if you haven't made your first dollar yet, then the problem is you don't even have a bouquet. Or you have a low quality one. So now that you know what branding means, let's set up your Twitter. Which is what's gonna hold the flowers, aka the edits you post. And we'll make it in a way that makes you look more valuable. And there are 7 parts to making your Twitter look more valuable. And they are your bio, your portfolio, your PFP, your name, your banner, your username, and your follow ratio. Starting with the bio. Your goal with the bio is to 1. Tell people that you're a video editor. More people will hire you for video editing if they know you're a video editor. Number 2, show social proof. In order of past to me, you would show past clients if you had past clients. If you didn't, then you would show views, how many views you got for people. If you don't have views, then you show how many videos you edited. If you have none, then you don't show anything. Ideally, you would show best clients, and the bigger they are, the better, and the more you can show, the better. And thirdly, you need to keep it one line. Because you're trying to get them to see your portfolio and Twitter posts. So you're trying to make the bio take as least space as possible in your page. Also, bonus tip, add some nice looking emojis. So combining everything, here's a simple template that you can just copy. Video editor, emoji, best client, emoji. Just change the emojis to whatever you want and change the best clients to your best clients. Add them. So you just type add and then you type their handle on Twitter. Nothing more, nothing less. The point is to keep it simple. Don't get cute. That was the bio, now into the portfolio. You're trying to get all YouTubers to click on your portfolio after checking your Twitter. Which is why you should not add quote unquote DM me in your bio or post. You do it in your portfolio instead. That way you ask them to DM you after they've checked the videos you've edited and the best clients you had. So the number 1 goal for your Twitter is for them to check your portfolio. And the best way to do this is to click on edit profile, scroll down to location and website. In location you type emoji, my work, and then an arrow, or emoji, portfolio, an arrow, or best work, an arrow, or click this and an arrow. The arrow is basically pointing to the portfolio. Because the location and website are next to each other, then you put in the location, for example, my work, and then an arrow, and then you portfolio in the website. That way it says my work and then points out to the link. So you could phrase it a couple of different ways. My work, portfolio, best work, click this. I prefer portfolios, it's the one I use, but any of them will work. And then in website, you put the link for your portfolio. So I will leave you to make your portfolio yourself. You got this. Just kidding. I'll walk you through how to make it. Just joking again. I already made it for you. So this is what you're gonna see when you click the second link in the description. It's a portfolio template. It's made with card, and as you see here, it's pretty well made. All of the client names get shown one by one like this in a smooth way. It has animations. Your catchphrase is here. Work with me is here. Your video is gonna be here. And the views get shown when you scroll down to them. So for example, if you were scrolling and then, oh, this video is pretty nice. Oh, it got 1 million views. And the movement make you focus on the views itself. And then you have places for screenshots of good reviews. Don't ask why I took the screenshot at 3 AM. I was doing an all-nighter to make this. And if you continue scrolling, you're gonna reach the end, how to hire me, DM me. So now, to copy this portfolio for your own and change it, you're gonna click this select button at the top right. This is what's gonna look like now. And there's a couple of things that you need to change. First of all, you're gonna put your catchphrase here. Thinking of someone quick, you can say, don't settle for basic. and change the red to green over here. Actually, let's change it to lime. As you see here, when I change the color, I type here, it changes over here. And then say editing. So don't settle for basic editing when you can get the best. Actually, let's make the basic red and let's make the best green to show that basic is bad and best is good. Let's capitalize each first letter. And now for the button, you click on this button over here and you change the name. You change it to your name, so work with Lava in my example. It will automatically move him to the end where it says hire me. But over here, when you click on this button, you need to change where it moves you. You will have it as your Twitter link. So you will just go to your Twitter and copy the link and paste it over here. For my example, it's 11 million edit, but you will have it as your Twitter. So your clients don't DM me instead of you. After you do that, you're gonna go and I've worked with section. You're gonna put the PFPs of each of them. You're gonna click upload the PFP. If you don't have the PFPs, you just go to the channel, you copy it, and then you go to any website that shows up when you search download YouTube PFP. There's a couple, and you just give the YouTube link, and it's gonna give you a link to download the PFPs. So you're gonna upload the PFPs in each one, and you're gonna change the name of them. So for example here, if you have Alex Hormozi, if you worked with Alex Hormozi, you put Alex Hormozi as the name, and then you put the subscribers count. He has 3.19 million, so you're gonna just put 3.1 million subs, and this is what's gonna look like. Now we do that for each client that you worked with. If you didn't work with 8 clients, you can just delete the remaining spots. So you can just make it 4 clients that show up like this. If you want, you just delete each one of them, you take the client name, the subscribers, and you do that in each section. And now we have only 4 people that you can show. Now over here we get into the videos. So let's start with the video at the top. You go to a video that you edited and you copy the link of it. You go to card, and here in embed, you put the link of the video. So now when you open your portfolio, it shows your videos. By the way, to check how the portfolio looks like, you click on publish this site to a card.co URL. If you have a custom domain, I recommend you to buy it. You can search up how to buy it, but for now, when you're starting out, haven't made your first dollar, you don't need a custom domain, you can just use a card.co domain. You type the name of the domain, let's for example say Lava Editor Test. And then you put the title for it, so let's say Lava's portfolio. And description is Lava's past work, and you click publish. Now it's gonna load, and after it's finished loading, you can go to the website lavaeditortest.card.co, and you will see how your portfolio looks like. So now don't settle for basic editing when you can get the best. How do I grow my business? The videos that we have copied the link of, the people we have worked with, and then the other videos. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna paste the videos you worked with in each one of these, and you're gonna put the name of the client in each one of them, and also the views. So after you finish doing that, you're gonna go to the bottom, and you're gonna put your PFP over here. You just click upload and upload your own PFP. If you have any screenshots of good client messages, you put them over here in these slots. If you don't, then you can just delete them. Now after doing that, you have a basic portfolio. If you don't have enough videos, you can just delete these and say no, you don't want to preserve the items contained inside of them. And like that, you only have 3 videos to show. If you have only 2, you can do the same, remove this one. If you don't have any clients to show, you can just remove this one. If the videos you've edited didn't get any big amount of views, you can just delete the views part and just show the name of the creator. You could customize it however you want. The biggest thing that you need to remember though is don't use the default colors. These colors are just to show you how it's supposed to look like. You're supposed to make your own colors and your own theme. So for example, for this one, let's make the gradient instead of gray and black, let's make it blue and like cyan kind of blue. For this one, let's make it darker blue, so something around this color. We're gonna do the same to the bottom part. You're gonna have to blend them in like this. And then here, we're gonna copy the colors at the top. Ideally, you would have the same colors except this segment and the end segment. For all of these containers, ideally should have the same colors. So we're gonna copy the colors of the cyan and blue. You're gonna only have to do them twice because all of the containers are copy paste of each other. So if I do this right here, you're gonna see that this as well was done. Now I have 2 different types, so you can invert the gradient. So for example here, instead of having it like blue at the top and cyan at the bottom, you're gonna have it opposite. It's gonna be cyan at the top and blue at the bottom. So now it looks smooth like this. It's a gradient. Unlike that, you have a portfolio. Any changes that you make to the images, the text, and stuff like that are gonna get changed to all of them. So for example, if you want to make the subscribers count bigger and you increase the size, all of the subscriber count get bigger. If you change the color of it, all the colors get changed. If you change the size of the views, the size of the views get changed for the first thing. If you change the color of the work with me button, if you want it to be, for example, black in this example, then the one at the bottom is also gonna be black. It took me a long time to make them all connected like that, but this is gonna take you such a short time to customize. In minutes, you have your own portfolio like that. Meanwhile, as editors are gonna have to spend days making their own, and there's gonna be subpar. It's not gonna look that good. Just publish the changes and go to the portfolio and see how it looks like. So now when we refresh it, it refreshes immediately and has a small animation. We scroll down, the client's name show up. We scroll, look at this, the views show up, the views show up, the views show up, the how to hire me shows up, and you click on the link and it takes you to your Twitter. So whenever you're free, you can make it. The template is the second link of the description. And now we go back to the PowerPoint. And finally, you just link it in website. So that was your portfolio. Now into the PFP, name and banner. And they all three basically boil down to presentation, how to present yourself. There's two ways to present yourself on Twitter. The first way is having a professional brand, like I have. The second way is having a personal brand. Both work, but I prefer professional brands because one, people trust them more. Two, they don't require you to show your face or name. And three, they're easier to start. And that's the most important part right now. They're easier to start. For professional brands, the PFP is just a logo. It could be anything. Mine is a cube watermelon that I turned red and added fire behind it. Just don't put anything corny like enemy profile pictures or any Google image. You can see a meme on the left. Just realize I've been submitting my applications with this PFP. You don't want to be like that guy. And for personal brands, the PFP is ideally a picture of you. This is basically how my personal brand would look like if I made one. Though if you're making a professional brand or a personal brand, there are some rules that you need to follow for either. The goal of these general rules is to make you stand out as an editor and not look like a 5-year-old. Have your name as short as possible and then add quote-unquote editor or video editor at the end of it. You add editor or video editor depending on how long your name is. If your name is short, then you add video editor. If your name is longer, then you add editor. You can see for the personal brand, when I named it Abdullah, I had to add editor instead of video editor because the name would have been too long. But for my actual brand, my professional brand that is called The Lava, I can add video editor at the end of it because the name is shorter. The second thing is only have two main colors in your PFP. If you make a personal brand, then you cannot choose like the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, whatever. So you just make the background a solid bright color, like I have in the examples that I have shown. That's because having too many colors makes it confusing and makes it hard to see what's the PFP. For my professional brand, it's basically red and white. For my personal brand, my hypothetical one, I have picked an image where I have a bright red background. Have your PFP and banner as simple as possible and as professional as possible. Make them all like look in sync. For the professional brand, since I had a bright red background, I had to really make my banner so it fits the same exact look. For my professional brand, which is my actual one, you can see that the background is the same and it all fits the theme of Lava. And do not steal a PFP, you will look like you're 5 years old. So don't just go on Google and just type PFPs and then just pick a random one. Actually have some thought behind it, make it your own, do something. Or if you want to start a personal brand, then you just make someone take a good picture of you. So just decide which kind of brand you want to make and then make a simple PFP banner and the name for it. So that was the PFP name and banner. Now into the username. This is your username. It's your handle. It has to be unique to you. For your name, you could literally just type anything, but Twitter stops you from downloading your handle. Your handle needs to be unique to you. It's like your ID in Twitter. It's like your social security number. This is important because it affects if you show up or not when people search up your name. So try to keep it as close as possible to your actual Twitter name. The best way to do that is just type your name and then type VFX or edit or editor at the end of your username. If you try to add them at the start, so instead of typing Lava VFX, you type VFX Lava, you just add it at the start instead of the end, then you will not show up on search, which is best. So you add them at the end of your username. Quote unquote VFX or edit or editor. I personally added edit at the end of my username, so it's Lava Melon Edit. And that's how you make your username. You just use your name and then add VFX or edit or editor at the end of it to make your handle. Now into follow ratio. This is the least important of all. Just follow a fewer number of people than the number of people who follow you. It makes you look more valuable. Why? Don't ask me why. That was the follow ratio. Now we have covered how to make your bio, portfolio, PFP, name and banner, and the two types of brands that you can make, professional ones and personal ones, username and follow ratio. Now we have covered everything to make your Twitter step by step. Now we should have an amazing vase to hold up your edits. Just like a good vase makes a flower look more valuable in a bouquet. We'll go later in the video on how to make the best flowers, aka the best edits, but right now we went from having no social media to having an amazing portfolio on Twitter. Right now let's help you start editing anything so you have something to post. And with the ways that I will show you, it will also double up as outreach. Just like that you have fixed your brand problem, now let's go with your outreach problem is that you don't do any outreach and you have no previous work. And the way to fix that is you're gonna start doing re-edits as outreach and to get your first pieces of work. What I mean by outreach is letting YouTubers know that they do video editing by DMing them. It runs on the principle that if more people who are looking for editors know that you're a video editor, you will have a higher chance of being hired compared to no one knowing that you do video editing. And thus you will have a way higher chance to get hired with outreach. Outreach is kind of overpowered. You will see for yourself. And there are lots of ways to outreach. I'll go through a different method in each stage since they require different amounts of skill and best experience to be able to do. If you still haven't made your first dollar, then you either have no best work or have outdated work compared to your skills right now. By just doing the stuff that we have covered in the editing segment, you will have enough skill to make your first dollar with this method. The best way to outreach in this stage and get practice footage is to do re-edit. Trust me, I ran a lot of experiments and tests. It's the best way in the stage. It's also way better than doing practice edits or finding practice footage. Because one, it doubles up as practice and edits to both. So first of all, you do outreach, you get to practice, and you get something to post on Twitter and put on your portfolio. Second of all, it gives you free voiceover and footage from actual videos. So you don't have to ask your friend to record voiceover for you or something. You just re-edit the video and they automatically have voiceover, footage, and a real YouTube video. And see, it forces you to do a style that is in demand. How does it force you? Because if you're re-editing a YouTube video, then there's YouTubers who are making these type of videos. If you just make a practice footage, maybe your style of editing doesn't actually have any use in YouTube. Nobody makes this type of animations, nobody makes this type of content. But with doing re-edits, you're literally just picking a YouTuber and improving his videos. So it's for sure in demand. And number 4 is I will show you a way to find videos that are not overused by other editors. And number 5, it doubles as outreach. I already said this, but most likely you will make your first dollar from doing this. So at last, let's walk through how to do re-edits the right way. I'll walk over 4 steps. Find a YouTuber in your niche. Finding a video that is badly edited, not lowly edited, and I will explain what that means. Re-editing it and making it majestic, and posting it and contacting the YouTuber like 4 different ways. So listen up. The next segment of the video is gonna be about choosing your niche. But for now, let's say that you have chosen a niche already. I'm gonna give you a requirements. I'm gonna give you a whole checklist to choose your niche. But let's say for now, you want to edit tech review videos. Now we search it up and there's lots of people that show up. Oh, who's that guy? Mr. Who's the Boss. Let's click on his video. We're not gonna re-edit that video because it already has insane editing. So let's go for another one. Let's see this one. This one also has pretty good editing, so let's skip that one. Okay, for example, this one is pretty good to re-edit. He's not going for a slow, low editing theme. His editor is just somewhat incompetent. So now we search up YouTube to MP4. We click on the first link and we just paste the link of the YouTube video and download the videos that we want to re-edit. And now after the re-edit, we import it into Premiere. And now we just do our editing magic. We make it 10 times better. What you want to do is you only want to edit the first 30 seconds of the video and make it insanely good. You don't need to edit the rest. Just the first 30 seconds so you can showcase that you can make it insanely good. And after adding so many animations, changing the music, zooms, whatever text, fancy stuff, we go ahead and export it. Let's call it re-edit 1. Now after making the re-edit, we're gonna contact the YouTuber and we're gonna do it like lots of different ways. First of all, we're gonna make a post. How we're gonna make the post is we're gonna put this re-edit over here. We're gonna upload it and we're gonna type re-edit for, we're gonna tag him. I don't know his actual tag. You're gonna have to search it up. But let's say 11 million edit, which is me. And then we're gonna put a fire emoji. That's it. We're gonna make that post. By pinging him, he's gonna see it in his notification. Now after you make the post and post it, you're gonna go to his Twitter. You can find it by clicking on his profile and clicking the Twitter. And we're gonna DM him. You're gonna say, hey, YouTuber name, I've been watching your content for a while and I love your, they're gonna put a compliment. Here he makes reviews, so I said, I love your reviews. I've made a re-edit for your most recent video. Let me know what you think and if you need an editor. And then you're gonna just DM him the same video. Now we have made a post about it and you have DM'd him. Now there's no way that he's not gonna see it, but let's take it a step further and let's say that he doesn't even use Twitter at all. So we're gonna go to his email, we're gonna click view email address, we're gonna click that we're not a bot, and then we're gonna copy his email. And then we're gonna go to email and email him the same video with the same message that we typed in Twitter. And that way we have DM'd him like 3 different ways. The notifications, when anyone likes our post, when anyone comments, it's gonna give him a notification. And that way there's no way he doesn't see it. There's a big chance that he still doesn't hire you, but at least now we made a post about it. So we made some kind of portfolio and we've shown it to him. So now there's a chance that he might want to hire us. And just like that, you've done your first re-edit. Now back to the PowerPoint. And just like that, you have fixed your outreach problem. So now let's go on your client's problem, is that you don't have any niche or any client. For the next stages, the segment is supposed to be a client relationships problem, like how to raise your prices and stuff. But right now we don't even have any client or any niche. So let's fix that first. We're gonna do that by choosing a niche and starting to dig closer to it using outreach. First of all, what's a niche? In editing context, it's the type of YouTubers you work with. Could be challenge YouTubers, could be finance YouTubers, could be tech YouTubers, or even gaming YouTubers, or even a specific game YouTubers like Minecraft YouTubers, which is actually my own niche. I work with Minecraft YouTubers. That shouldn't change anything about you. It's just like a fact about me. But hypothetically, why not try to work for all YouTubers? Beggars can't be choosers, right? Question mark. Well, having a niche helps you with 4 things. First of all, it helps you get more clients, it helps you charge more, and it helps your clients more so you're able to help them more, and it gets your first client faster. Otherwise, I wouldn't have told you to pick a niche. So now imagine this. I'm gonna explain how it does all of that. And bear with me because it will make sense in the end. Imagine you're a Minecraft YouTuber. You make Minecraft videos and you compete with people with insane editing, way over the top. Now, running a YouTube channel is already stressful. And you realize on top of what you're already doing, you need to hire an editor. He might scam you, he might not be able to deliver deliver, he might take weeks for one video, and you're already running a full channel. It's risky, but you have to do it to compete. So now you search for an editor and you find two people. You find Jeffrey and Adonis. These names are randomly picked and are totally not in reference to anything, just saying. Jeffrey says, I can do it, and here's my portfolio, and he sends you your portfolio. Now you go on his portfolio and he sees that he worked with multiple people. Good job, Jeffrey. And they have also like millions of subscribers, but there's a problem. You cannot recognize any of them. You never heard of them, you never seen them, but it's whatever. Like at least he worked with some clients. And then you go to the next part and scroll down. The first video is a tech review video. Well, you're a Minecraft YouTuber, so that doesn't apply to you. I guess you work over that one. And then the second video is a skit. Again, you're a Minecraft YouTuber. You want to see actual Minecraft editing, not skits. So I guess he does like tech review and skits, but then you scroll down and you find a music video. So he does tech review, skits, and music videos. Well, he still doesn't do Minecraft. All of the videos are in different styles. I mean, I guess he's an editor, but he helps a different kind of creator. He might not know about Minecraft, he might not be able to replicate the style, so you just keep him in mind for later. And then you go to Adonis, and Adonis says, hey, I can do it as well. And then you go on his portfolio. You see in his portfolio people he worked with, and again, they have millions of subscribers, but this time, you know all of them. They're all Minecraft YouTubers. Matter of fact, some of them are even your friends, and they all make the same exact content as you. Now you go through it and you're like, oh damn, so this is the editor for my friend? Oh, I didn't know. And he worked with a YouTuber that makes the same exact kind of content and has the same exact type of videos that I want to make. You're like, oh damn, that's pretty good. And then you scroll down, and this time you see a testimonial, and it's literally from your friend. It talks about how great the editor is. So he worked with your friend, and your friend liked him. So you're like, oh damn. And then you go down, and it's a video that got millions of views, the same exact style of videos that you want, and the same exact type of videos that you want to make. You scroll down, again, millions of views, and it's the same exact type of videos that you want to make. And again, you scroll down, lots of Minecraft videos, all in the same style. He knows everything about Minecraft, and he likes editing Minecraft content. Now, considering that hiring an editor is risky, which editor will you hire? Jeffrey was a good editor, but has never edited a video in your style. Or Adonis was also a good editor, but he's also edited lots of videos in your style. No matter what kind of YouTuber you are, you will always work with the editor who's a specialist in your niche, and has already worked with people in your space. Whether it's tech, challenges, finance, whatever. You want a specialist over a generalist, so you will work with Adonis. You don't have to train him on anything, you don't have to explain anything to him. He already knows everything that you need because he has already done it with other people. You believe he has a high chance of doing what you want because he has done it before. That's how all YouTubers think. And also it's way faster to master one niche than all at the same time. So it cuts down the time it takes you to improve by a lot. That's how I was able to charge more than 7 months than editors with years of experience because I focused on one type of creator. The only thing that I was focused on for the 7 months is making the best videos in this style, in this niche for this YouTuber. Therefore, it didn't take me long to become the best at it. So, one niche. You'll make more money by being a specialist and mastering one type of video than a jack of all niches, and I can guarantee that. So now that you know what is a niche and why you should have a niche, let's now help you choose a niche that you enjoy and still having huge paying potential. As you see, we're trying to get the overlaps between videos you enjoy and videos that make a shit ton of money. There are 7 metrics that I would judge a niche on. The goal is to find the smallest niche that meets all 7 requirements. So don't say something like gaming or in real life content. If you go more specific to a specific game or a specific style in real life content, you'll make more money. The 7 requirements for a good niche are, is this niche growing? Now, most niches are growing because YouTube as a whole is growing. But if you go, for example, for a dying game, let's say, for example, that the viewers for this game go down by 30% per year. That means that no matter what you do, there will be 30% less creators in that niche every single year. So you want a niche that is growing, that has more YouTubers by year, and a niche that is dying. The second one is, can this niche afford high paying prices? This one is quite straightforward. Just think about the creators that you want to work with and ask yourself, is that type of creator in this niche able to afford high paying prices? Again, most niches are because most YouTubers are making money. But just ask yourself that because you might be going for an exception. The third one is, are you interested in that niche? If you're going to edit it for like 15 hours a day, then you might as well just be interested in it. The fourth requirement is, can you find 1 million subscribers or more channels in this niche? If you can't, then the niche is too small to have enough paying potential for you. You're trying to find a niche that has already established YouTubers. YouTubers who already have millions of subscribers and are making lots of money. First requirement is, do Do you understand this niche, or could you get in grips with it quickly? Or if you want to edit, for example, Minecraft videos, but if you never played Minecraft in your life and never watched it in your life and know nothing about Minecraft, then that probably wouldn't be a good idea. You can just go for a topic that you know, maybe investing videos or finance videos. But if you never played games, then don't go in a niche that is gaming. The sixth requirement is, do they do editing best, basic zooms and cutting? You want to showcase your skills, you want to be able to do animations and cool stuff. If the type of videos you want to make are only cutting and zooms, then you will not be able to charge more, because anyone can do what you're doing. You want to be in a niche that has animations, music, complex editing, not simple editing. Of course, there would be YouTubers in any niche that have simple editing, but there has to be at least some YouTubers in that niche that do somewhat complex editing. And the seventh requirement is, are the channels in this niche YouTube automated? Like for example, documentaries. If they are, then you shouldn't go in that niche. YouTube automation is basically when you're not actually working as a YouTuber. You're working with someone who hires like tens of people and there's like 50 different channels at the same time. For example, documentaries. People who have documentary channels have like 10 other channels and they just hire like one different editor and they underpay all of them. Try to get a niche with an actual YouTuber, not YouTube automation. And these are all of the pitfalls where I've seen editors not able to increase their prices. So just take the niche that you have in mind that you want to work in and just run it past these 4 questions. If the answer is yes to all of them, then you can work in that niche. Otherwise, then find a different niche. A niche being any kind of content you find on YouTube. If it meets these requirements, it's a niche where you can make lots of money. Again, try to niche down as much as possible while following these requirements. Don't niche down too much that you start following the 4th requirement, which is, can you find 1 million subscribers or more channels in this niche? So don't go for like violent videos that are from live streams that have the same exact style of editing and they use webcams. You probably wouldn't be able to find 3 YouTubers who have 1 million subscribers or more in that niche because it's too niche in, it's too specific. But if you pick something super broad like gaming, then you niche down to a specific game, for example. You try to find a sweet spot where there's like enough YouTubers in that niche to pay you and you become the specialist at it quite easily. And here are some niches to get your pain going. You might be like, that's a lot of stuff, I don't know what niches are, I don't know much YouTube, whatever. Here are some niches that you can start thinking about and see which one you're interested in. Tech review videos, group channels like Sidemen or Beta Squad, kind of indie live videos, any specific game like Fortnite, Valorant, Minecraft, etc. As long as it follows the first requirement, which is this niche growing, so it's not a dying game, and the fourth requirement, which is, can you find 1 million subscribers or more channels in this niche? So the game is big enough, it's not an underground game. Also vlogs, you could edit vlogs, you could edit finance videos, you could edit educational videos, you could edit fitness content, and any type of YouTube videos that you watch, as long as it follows the 7 requirements. Again, the requirements are, is this niche growing? Can this niche afford high paying prices? Are you interested in this niche? Can you find 1 million subscribers or more channels in this niche? Do you understand this niche, or could you get in grips with it quickly? Do they do editing best, basic zooms and cutting? Are the channels in this niche YouTube automated? So now in this point, I hope you have a niche in mind, something that you can start editing. Let's say for example you want to work with tech review YouTubers with the editing side of Mr. Host the Boss. Now what? You still have no clients. Now you will start doing outreach. Specifically, you will start doing re-edits like we covered in the last segment. You will either land one of the YouTubers you do a re-edit for, or you will get creators messaging you from the post. So after you do the re-edit, you post it on Twitter and someone sees it and messages you. Now don't reject every creator outside of your niche. Think about a niche like an onion. At the core of the onion, we have your dream niche. For example, tech review. A layer above that, we have a slightly different niche. For example, tech review, but instead of long form videos, it's short form videos. And the layer above that, we have an even slightly different niche. For example, finance videos instead of tech review. They still talk and hence still people talking to the camera, but it's not tech review at all. And outside of the onion, we have a completely different niche. For example, gaming. Now we're going to try to get to the core of the onion, so you mind towards it. For example, someone who does gaming messages you. Now you have no clients yet, so you accept him as your first client. Then you put him in your portfolio and you start outreaching to tech review YouTubers with the portfolio that has a gaming video. It's not ideal, but it's good enough. You might not get in your dream niche yet, but a tech review YouTuber wants you to do short form for him. So it's closer to the niche you want to get in. It's closer to the core of the onion. You accept it, now you're even closer to your niche. And you use the tech review shorts on your portfolio. And after some time, a tech review long form creator messages you. Now you reach your dream niche. You didn't reject all videos that were outside of it. You were trying to get as close as possible over time. And like that, you don't have to say no to money. You can still accept the videos and after some time get close to the niche. Hopefully though, if you're still starting out with re-edits, you'll be able to get into a dream niche instantly by just doing a re-edit in that dream niche and getting a client in that dream niche. So now to recap, we went over what is a niche, we went over why choose a niche, we went over the requirements for a good niche, and we went over how to get into the niche using outreach without rejecting all jobs outside of it. Now you should have a crystal clear niche and you should be able to get into it super quickly by doing re-edits in that niche. And like that, we have fixed your client's problem. You now have a niche and you're gonna get your first client, make your first dollar start pretty soon. The bottom line of this whole chapter is you're missing everything and no one knows you exist. And to fix that, you need to start doing the basic and you don't skip any steps. Now to recap the whole chapter and give you actionable steps. For clients, you have none. You start with choosing a niche, using the 7 requirements we went over. For your brand, you make a professional or personal Twitter brand. For your outreach, since you have no clients right now, you do re-edits in the niche you plan to outreach to and post them on Twitter. And for your editing, you learn how to make smooth animations and basic videos. Now what to expect, I'm just including this as a warning. Make at least 5 re-edits and post them before expecting to get any clients. You're still starting out, it's gonna take some time. After that, it's gonna start skyrocketing and you're gonna get many clients super fast. But at the start, you need to do at least 5 re-edits before having a chance to get a client. And since you're starting out and still may not believe it, here are some people who made their first dollar online. Seiko, after 1 month of doing re-edits and getting no clients, in the second month he got $70 client from inbound and then $80 client from outbound. Outbound being outreach. He outreached to that client and got him. So it took him 1 month to make his first dollar and instantly got 2 clients at the same time. One for $70 per video and the other for $80 per video. Then we have Quill. He got a $45 video, which was quite a lot for him since he lives in a third world country. That was a while ago. Right now Quill is making $6K per month and is on his way to make $10K per month. And then we have Chandler. He made his first $300 in his life. He done it after watching my video on outreach. And now I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that he's making a good amount of money. And there are lots more. These are just some examples. And if you join the editing bootcamp instead of the everything editing back, you will find lots of more people who made their first dollar following this advice. So it's super possible. You just need to start doing your re-edits. And just like that, you're ready to make your first dollar online. Welcome, and we're now on the second stage. You've made your first dollar and now you're making between $1 and $1,000 per month. So where you are, you have low paying clients. On the buy side, someone has decided to pay you, so that's a great sign. On the other side, it doesn't pay you enough. And to graduate, you need to dissociate from 99% of editors. Because right now, you don't have a brand, you don't have anything different about you. You're just the average low labor work. So now I'm gonna teach you how to differentiate yourself from them. Starting with the constraint in editing, your editing is confusing. You just replicate what you see other editors are doing. So to graduate, you need to improve your visuals and learn how to think of animations, which is the second part of the acronym we went over. Understandable. If you just skipped here, I recommend you watching the video from the beginning, since all of this is built on top of each other. On the last stage, we went over making smooth animations. Now that you're more advanced, we're gonna go a step above that and we're gonna make understandable animations, which is way more complicated than you think, but it will level up your edits massively. We'll go over how to fundamentally come up with animations, how to think of them, and how to make sure that they're aesthetically pleasing and not confusing for the viewer. So again, we covered this in the last chapter. This is the SOF acronym. We're now at the second letter, which is U, which is making understandable animations. And there are 5 concepts that we'll cover. First of all, explanation, then association, then eye tracking, then pacing, and then lastly, composition. Starting with explanation. The fundamental point of animations is to explain what's being said and the underlying meaning of it at all time. Let's take for example, if you're editing a video on sales and the YouTuber said, this next sale tactic works on 90% of the people we tested it on. Now we're using for a while, and after a lot of brainstorming, you come with a super creative idea. Here's your idea. This next sales tactic works on 90% of people. You just put the text on the screen. You just repeated what he said. What you should have done instead is show instead of tell. That's the foundation of any animation, the blueprint on which you build upon. All animations have to explain what's being said. Okay, but how do you explain a sales tactic working on 90% of people? First of all, we're gonna put some text on the screen and we're gonna make it pixelated. This text refers to the sales tactic. We have pixelated it for retention. We add a little animation of it, and then we add also a salesman at the top. And then we add 10 people at the bottom which he is selling to. We introduce them one by one. The salesman is much bigger and are on the top. And out of these 10 people we showed, one of them will turn red, which implies that it didn't work on him, while the other 9 will turn green. 9 of them implies 90%. But what does not working look like? What does it mean of a sales tactic not work on you? Well, it basically means that you walk away of the sale. Well, what does a sales tactic working actually mean? Let's say in this context, the video is talking about low ticket sales. So the video you're editing is talking about selling stuff for $100, for example. So let's show plus $100 come from each one of the people. And let's also show the plus $100 at random order, because that makes it way smoother. We'll cover that technique on the first concept, which is pacing. So let's see how that looks like. Now let's see it all in action. This next sales tactic worked on 90% of the people we tested it on. Now comparing these two, not only the second one was able to show more of our skills, but it's infinitely better because it explained the concept. It didn't only explain the concept, it explained the underlying meanings of it. It didn't mention that it worked on 90% of the people in low ticket sales, but it was implied in the context of the video. So we showed that. Same to quote unquote working, meaning that they gave him money. All of these weren't implied in the actual sentence, but it was implied in the context of the video. So now it makes way more sense for the viewer. Again, comparing them one last time. This next sales tactic works on 90% of people. This next sales tactic works on 90% of people. It made the animation more understandable by making it explain the concept and the underlying meanings of it. You should do this no matter the niche or the animations that you're making. The foundation is always explaining what's being said. Take this animation of mine, for example.
Each TNT block requires 4 sand and 5 gunpowder.
Each TNT block requires 4 sand and 5 gunpowder. He implies that to craft a TNT block, you need to put 4 sand and 5 gunpowder instead of a crafting table. So we showed that. We made a crafting table and showed the 4 sand and 5 gunpowder to make a TNT block. And then he
And if
said,
you multiply each of those by 1,331,000 for all the TNT we need to fill this up,
and if you multiply each of those by 1,331,000 for all the TNT we need to fill this up, which we showed the equation of 4 sand and 5 gunpowder to make a TNT block, and then timed 1,331,000.
5,324,000 blocks of sand and 6,655,000 pieces of gunpowder.
He said you'll need to collect 5,324,000 blocks of sand and 6,655 pieces of gunpowder. He implies that after doing the multiplication, you need 5 million sand and 6 million gunpowder to craft the 1,331,000 pieces of TNT, which we showed quite literally by putting 5 million sand and 6 million gunpowder to make 1,331,000 TNT blocks. And this is how all of the animation looked together.
Each TNT block requires 4 sand and 5 gunpowder. And if you multiply each of those by 1,331,000 for all the TNT we need to fill this up, well, 5,324,000 blocks of sand and 6,655,000 pieces of gunpowder.
We covered all of the meanings and as many underlying meanings as we got in one animation, which makes it understandable. We didn't only cover the things that he said, we didn't put what he said on the screen as text, but we actually showed what he means and the underlying meanings of what he said. So the first concept is to make it explain the meanings and the underlying meanings of the animation. The second concept we're gonna cover is association. Now focus with me because I'm gonna run an experiment past you. Ready? The animal weighs more than the average human. So, which animal was I talking about? I'm gonna assume you said the cow. Well, I was actually talking about the giraffe. But why did you assume it was the cow? Both animals are heavy and I showed both of them at the end. Well, when I said the animal, I showed you the picture of the cow. So you automatically associated it with what I was saying. You made that association because you heard the animal and saw a cow at the same time. And when you hear and see something at the same time, your brain connects them together. It makes an association between them. Let me give you another example. 1,352,482. Now I said a completely different number than what I showed on the screen. But I will assume that you assumed that I was reading the number on the screen. Why? Because when I read the number, you saw a number. So your brain made an association, it connected them together, and saw it automatically that I'm reading the number on the screen. Now, why is this important? How is this gonna make me more money? If you look at the animation I just showed you a second ago, but now focus on the timing of the voiceover with the animation, you will notice that everything the YouTuber said was shown on the screen in the same exact second. Not any sooner, not any later. Because this way the viewer makes the right association. A mistake editors always make is they delay the animation or show it too early. Now the other thing is that it makes the viewer confused, because he will make the wrong association, like the two experiments we just did. So for example, the YouTuber would be saying 2 different numbers in one paragraph, and the editor would delay showing the numbers on the screen because he wants to do a cool animation with them or something. And then what it does is by the time that the YouTuber says the second number, the first number has been shown on the screen, which makes the viewer confused, like the experiment we did. He assumes he's reading the number on the screen, but he's now reading a completely different number because it's off time. So the second part of making understandable animations is realizing what associations you're making and correcting them. So the second the voiceover says the cow, you show the cow. You don't wait. The second it says a number, you write a number on the screen. Off-timed animations ruin the whole flow of the video. And that was the second part of how to think of animations, how to make understandable animations. Now into the third part, eye tracking. Eye tracking is basically making the viewer look at the correct things. And there are three parts to this. First is contrast, second is size, third is movement. And we use all three of them in the sales example we showed. The goal is to make it as easy as possible to look at the important stuff and to remove all distraction. Your eyes are automatically drawn to the salesman first because he's bigger than all the 10 people. And then both him and the 10 people are super easy to see because they contrast with the background. And we also show each one of them individually with some quick movements to make you see them as they pop up. This is how it looked like to remind you. If we didn't use these tactics, here's what it would look like. They're on the screen right now if you haven't noticed. This time they don't contrast. They're all the same size with no movements to introduce them, making you not even realize if they're a part of the background or not. Now comparing these two, this without any contrast, no size, and no movement, and this with all three of them. What we did is we used eye tracking to make the animation less confusing. This is also, by the way, why when you're talking to someone and the TV is playing beside them, it's pretty hard to look to the person you're talking to because the TV is big, colorful, and full of movement. So the three parts are again contrast, size, and movement. These are the three things that move your eye. Remember them and use them carefully to highlight the important parts of the animation. If someone is not important, don't make it a different color, don't introduce it with some huge movement, and don't make it take a big chunk of the screen. Again, one last time, contrast, size, movement. Now that was eye tracking, now into pacing. This one is quite simple. Having too much happening at the same time confuses the viewer. So we try to spread the animation around by introducing only one element at a time, which is why we showed the people at the bottom one by one, so they don't get all shown at once and overwhelm the viewer. Again, as a general rule, have half a second between elements, like in the animation we did. Unless there's a class of them and they're all super small, then you can make it faster. Like the people at the bottom, it was less than half a second between each one of them, but there's a class of them. It would be too long if we had like half a second between each one of them. But in general, have half a second. Quite simply, have enough space for the viewer to process what's happening. That was pacing. Now into composition, my favorite part. Composition is basically where you decide to place the elements on the screen. There's so much to composition, you could cheat each frame like it's a painting. And you will need to learn so many composition checks. You can see a few on the left of the screen. There's lots of them, and realistically, you will not use any of them. For video editing, you're gonna need to only learn 4. And they are center lines, rule of thirds, spacing, and safety margins. Starting with the most straightforward, center lines. When you need to place something on the screen, ideally place it exactly in the center of the screen. If you can't, then place it at one of the two center lines. So basically, when you don't know where to place something, default to placing it in the exact center of the screen. And if you're showing 2 plus elements, you can put them at one of the two center lines. So for example, here we have text and image. We couldn't put both of them in the horizontal center of the screen, so at least we centered both of them vertically. It makes the scene look more aesthetically pleasing and less confusing. We've used this in the sales tactic animation by having the starting text be in the exact center of the screen. Here's how it looked. As you notice, the pixelated text is in the exact center of the screen. You can enable center lines on Premiere like this. So what you do is you simply click on this plus over here under the playback, and you select this show rulers, and you move it downward over here in this, I don't know, tools kit, and then you click OK. And then you click on it, show rulers. Now these two rulers are gonna show at the top, and you can just click on them and drag down a line. And it shows you what percentage of the screen this line is at. To have center lines, you just drag it to exactly 50%, and you do the same thing horizontally. We drag it to 50%. Now we have center lines, and you can see exactly where to place anything on the screen, just in the center like that. Now if you want to get rid of the center lines, you just move them back to the rulers. Now into the second part, which is rule of thirds. So now if we draw a line at each third of the screen vertically and horizontally, we'll get this shape. Just like in the center lines, where you have multiple elements, or for any other reason, you're not able to put the element on the exact center of the screen, you start using the rule of thirds, putting the element at either the cross of any of these 4 points, or at any point of the line. So for example, in lots of movie scenes, you use it in scenes like this. This man is on the top left cross of the screen. Here, this tree is at the bottom right cross of the screen. Here in this animation of mine, I put the elements at 2 sides of the screen, and the 2 sides of the rule of thirds. Here, the same thing, I put them at the crosses. The books are in the top crosses, and the emeralds at the bottom crosses. I couldn't have fit all of this inside of the center line, so I went to the rule of thirds, and it looked amazing. If we put these elements any further, it would be way too close to the edge of the screen, and any closer, they would have been way too clamped in the center. So the rule of thirds helped us make the scene look more aesthetic. So think of putting any elements in the center lines, but when there's too many elements or for any other reason you can't, then start using the rule of thirds, just like this. You can enable them in Premiere like this, and now we want to do rule of thirds. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab one line and you're gonna move it to 33%, and then you're gonna grab a second line and you're gonna move it to 66%. You're gonna do the exact same horizontally. You're gonna move it to 33% and then 66%, like this. Now you have rule of thirds. This is a perfect rule of thirds, and this will help you to know where to place elements on the screen. If you want to get rid of it, you grab the lines and you push them back to their rulers, like this. And that was the rule of thirds. Now into spacing. Quite simply, if you put too much stuff on one side of the scene will look unbalanced. So you should try to minimize empty space by moving some elements to it, so the scene looks more balanced. For example, if you had two elements to show, don't put one on the center and the other is in the rule of thirds, the right side of the rule of thirds, because now all of this place on the left is empty. You can do this, for example, if you had another element on the left. So now there's one at the center and two at both lines, and it would look like this. It would look somewhat balanced. But if you only have two images, then you put this wolf in the middle to the left. This way, the scene is balanced. So whenever you're wondering what side to put an element on, put it on the side with more empty space, so the scene looks more balanced. Again, in this animation of mine, we've used it by putting one item at each side of the screen. That was spacing. Now into safety margins. Now there are different sizes to screens. Some screens will not show the full video, which is why we use the safety margin. It shows us the part that is shown on all devices versus what parts may be hidden. It's the outside of the screen that is cut off in some devices. Therefore, you should keep all of your animations inside of this barrier. So if you're putting text on the screen, for example, don't make it take up the whole screen just because you can, because it will go outside of the safety margin. It also will be super hard to read on big screen. You will need to move your head from left to right to read it. You can make it as big as you want as long as it's inside the safety margins. You can enable them in Premiere like this. Now for safety margins, you click on this plus again and you click on this square over here, you drag it over here and you enable it. Now this is the safety margins. Ideally you would have it inside of this smaller square, but most of the time you're gonna just use the outer square as a reference of don't go there. And then you can just click on it again to disable it anytime. We have went over center lines, rule of thirds, spacing, and safety margins. By following all of these, you massively improve your composition and make all your animations look way better. Which also concludes the last part of how to make understandable animations and how to think of them. Recapping them, they were explanation, association, eye checking, pacing, composition. So that was the second part of the acronym understandable. If you think that's all to animations, then you're sadly mistaken, because in the next part we will go over making fancy animations. But for now, you already leveled up your editing enough by knowing how to think of animations and learning how to make them understandable. So congrats. Now you have fixed your editing constraint and now you have a brand constraint. The problem is you look like the average Fiverr editor. Your Twitter is too random and you don't look professional. So to graduate, you're gonna grow your Twitter with these 6 concepts. Last stage we covered how to create the best files for your edits. If you don't understand this metaphor, then go back and watch the last stage. We went over how to make your bio, portfolio, PFP, name, and banner. We went over professional and personal brands, how to make your username and follow ratio. Again, go back and watch it if you skipped here. Everything is paired on top of each other. Now in this stage, we'll cover how to present your edits the best way so you don't look homeless. And the 6 concepts that we're gonna cover are what to post, how to make the best post, how often to post, best times to post, what to expect, and how to instantly gain more trust, which is actually gonna take no time from you and it's gonna instantly create 50 to 100% more trust. It's a secret technique. But we're gonna start with what to post. There are a couple of stuff that editors usually post. I did all of them. To name a few, you can post edits, you can post giveaways. I did lots of those. You can also post threads and advice. You can post questions. You can call out some creators and editors and feel better about yourself. So I want you to remember these 5 ways, and then I want you to forget all of them except posting your edits. Because let's make something clear. Your Twitter isn't some social media that you post on, it's your second portfolio. It's like your CV. YouTubers click on your profile and give you about 5 seconds to prove yourself. So now imagine you go to a company and they hand off your CV, and the first thing that is written on the CV is a rant about how you think immigrants should be illegal or some shit, some drama on Twitter, and then after that they have to read till the end of the CV to see your actual work experience. The last thing that you want to happen is a YouTuber clicks on your profile, he sees giveaways and then threads, questions, drama, and everything except edits. The only thing that a YouTuber wants to see is your edits. It's your CV. Anything else that you post, even retweets, even retweeting like your friend's work, is just diluting your profile. The only things that you should post are your edits, aka previews. Trust me, anything else will just make you less money. You want your profile to be made out of only edits. Like this is an old picture of my profile. You can see just edits on top of edits. Currently it has some posts targeted editors. You might have found me from one of them. But when I was focused on making money with editing, I was only posting edits. Don't even retweet any post. It will take up space on your profile and dilute it. So that was basically what to post. Post edits. Stop posting other stuff. Post edits. Now how to make the best post? Amazing. Now we understand that you should post only edits. But how? First of all, from now on, I will be referring to edits you post as previews. Previews are a quick 15 seconds to a minute and a half videos of the highlights from the videos you've edited. Highlights are being the animations from the videos, not montages, not storytelling, not funny moments, just animations. By this stage, you've made your first dollar. So I will assume that you edited at least one video, of not just follow the same steps with the re-edits that you made. Here's how we make a preview and post it. So right now, we just finished a video. It's 20 minutes long, way longer than you should upload on Twitter. So here's what you do. You just scrub through the video and find the cool animations that you have done. Now just scrolling, I'm trying to find a good animation, and let's say this is the first cool animation I have seen. I'm gonna mute it so I actually can talk. This is what it looks like. It has some sound effects. It basically says that he has completed post shortcuts. So right now I'm gonna make a cut, delete everything before it, and make a cut when the animation ends. And then I'm gonna continue scrubbing for more animation. I find another one. Let's say this one is cool. Normally I wouldn't have it as a preview, but for this example, let's say that this is like some of the coolest animations you have ever done. Now you continue scrubbing and finding cool animations until you reach the end of the video. So after you reach the end of the video, you should have a couple of cool animations that you have done, like this. You should be cut like super fast, so it should be like super dopaminic. After one animation finishes, the new one starts like that. Don't leave any air where this normal footage, just like straight animations after animations after animations. Try to keep it, like we said, between 15 seconds and 1 minute and a half. This one is 23 seconds, that's good enough. Then we're gonna export it. Let's call it preview 1, and then we're gonna export it. Now we have a cool highlight of the full videos that we edited. We didn't include the full video, we included only the highlights, the best animations. Also, I forgot to say, you should have the best animations at the start, and then it starts like getting worse and worse. All animations should be great. If the animation is bad, don't include it in. But there will always be a best animation. So put the best first, and then the second best, third best, fourth best, and like that until you reach the end of the preview. So it grabs attention better and it has a nice first impression. Now we're gonna go to your Twitter, you're gonna click on post, and you're gonna upload this preview. If we have Twitter Blue, then make it 1080 quality, and then just say editing, preview for, and then you're gonna tag the creator. For this example, scarves, and then you're gonna add an emoji, any positive emoji. You can add a check mark like this. You can add a fire emoji like this. I like fire emojis. And then you're gonna just post editing preview for real curves as a tweet. Now don't add more text. A lot of people add more text. That text is just gonna make the preview do worse. You always keep it at one line. This is the exact line you use. Don't try to be creative. Don't be cute. Don't say like likes are appreciated. Don't say anything basically. Just keep it one line, please. I'm not gonna go on a rant of why you should keep it one line. Just know I've experimented. I know a lot about Twitter. I know a lot about editing. Let your editing speak for you. Don't dilute it with a block of text. It's gonna make the preview do worse. Also because when you pin it on Twitter, you don't want it to be a huge block of text and then a preview. You want just the preview to be the first things that someone sees when they go on your Twitter, which wouldn't be the case if you have a block of text like this. And just like that, you posted and you have posted your first ever preview. Now I'm gonna explain like the best times to post, how to gain more trust, stuff like that. So back to the PowerPoint. So that was how to make the best post. Now how often to post. Again, as a reminder, your posts do get you leads, they get you YouTubers DMing you, but the main purpose of them is building a second portfolio of high quality edits. So that when a YouTuber clicks on your profile, he sees your best edits only. Therefore, the rule for how often to post is quite simple. Only post edits that are on par or better than your best edit. If you spend a lot of time making one edit and making it perfect, and then right after you posted a rushed edit, all you did is you replace the perfect edit from your profile with a rushed one. So now when a YouTuber clicks on your profile, he will see a rushed edit instead of a perfect edit. So you should only post edits that are better than your best one. If it's even 1% worse, then just don't post it. I know the rule is quite harsh. It means that if you meet a banger edit, if it's worse than your peak, then you're not supposed to post it, which is correct. You're not supposed to post it. It's just eroding the quality of your profile. Also, as a side note, always pin your best edit. So it's the first thing that a YouTuber sees. So that was how often to post. Now, best times to post. These are the best times to post. Quite straightforward. Screenshot them or come back to the video whenever you want to post. Also have at least 24 hours between each post, or they affect each other negatively. So if you edited, for example, an hour-long video and you have like 3 minutes of previews that you can post, just post 3 1-minute previews and have 1 day between each one of them. Otherwise, if you post all of them at the same time, they can start competing against each other and they will do overall just worse. So that was the best time to post. Now what to expect. I'm just including this as a warning. warning. Twitter is indeed the best platform to post your edits, though like all other platforms, it takes some time for your profile to be warmed up. Meaning that almost guaranteed, no matter how good your edits are, the first 3 to 5 previews you post will not do well. Twitter needs some time to even realize that you're an editor and put you into the algorithm, which is okay because your first 5 previews are going to suck anyways. A way to speed up the warming up process is to share your edits in servers. The only people who will see them are editors, and editors are not going to hire you, but they're going to tell the algorithms that you're an editor as well and get your profile warmed up. There's a channel for only that purpose in the servers that I do weekly coaching calls on, the editing bootcamp. So you just post your edits in there and instantly other editors are going to start liking it and commenting on it. In the description is the first link. Click on the preset pack, go down to weekly coaching calls and join the server. Also start joining the weekly coaching calls. They're free. You can ask me any question you want, regardless if you're a beginner or advanced. So that was what to post. Now how to instantly gain more trust. I'm taking 30 to 100% more trust instantly. It will make clients message you more and get you more views in your previews. Ready for the secret techniques that will make you instantly more money? Get this. Twitter Blue. Now hear me out. It's $8 a month. You only want to subscribe to Premium, not Premium Plus. It's a no-brainer purchase since literally your whole business is based off Twitter. So you should subscribe to it as fast as possible. You'll make your money back. And that was the last part of Growing Your Twitter. We'll revisit branding later, but for now this is all you need to know. We went over what to post, how to make the best post, how often to post, best times to post, what to expect, and how to gain more trust instantly. And like that, you have fixed your branding constraint. Now into your outreach constraint. You can't send re-edits to everyone, especially that now you're busy, you have videos to edit. So to fix that, you have to start doing mass outreach and using your previous work. Congrats, you made your first dollar. Now you have to actually do work, and now you're more busy. Which reminds me of this picture. This is how it feels not having a job, and this is how it feels having a job. It will be hard either way, so at least now enjoy having a job. But it also means that you have some kind of previous work, aka a portfolio to show people, which unlocks a new method of outreach for you. Keep in mind that this only works if you have at least 3 videos plus that you've edited. Could be videos that you've actually edited or re-edits. Over time, you try to replace the re-edits with actual videos, but even if you have like 2 re-edits right now and 1 actual video, that's enough to start doing this. On Twitter, make sure that you posted your work, otherwise this method won't work. Pen your best work and you're ready to go. This method is focused on value. You DM hundreds of people, and if your 101st DM gets you a job, then it would have been worth it. Because it would take on average 1 hour to DM 100 people. That's 1 hour to land a job. So expect not to get any jobs from the first 200 DMs. With this method, you should be DMing 100 people daily, and I'll show you how. The steps I'll walk you through are: 1. Pick 5 to 10 keywords around your niche. 2. Make sure that they all fit the niche you want to work in. 3. Open around 50 different tabs. 4. DM/email each one of them. 5. Beat. So listen up. Alright, so the first step is to pick 5 to 10 keywords around your niche. So by this time, you should have a niche in mind, and I have written some down. For example, for the Minecraft niche, which is my niche, so I have a lot of them because I know a lot about the niche. I know that some keywords that YouTubers might use are Minecraft, Minecraft Hardcore, Minecraft 100 Days, Minecraft Mods, Minecraft PvP, Minecraft Bedrock, Minecraft Code, Minecraft Skyblock, Minecraft Hypixel, Minecraft Server, Minecraft SMB. All of these are different kinds of content that YouTubers might make around Minecraft. So now if I search up Minecraft, maybe there's some Minecraft coding creators that doesn't show up. But all of these different keywords make me cover every niche inside of Minecraft. They're like sub-niches. For tech, for example, I don't know a lot about tech, but I can think of tech review, new tech, new phone, iPhone, and there's probably some guy who knows more about tech that will know more like tech review niches. Now, after writing down all of the keywords, 5 to 10 keywords, you just want to make sure that they all fit inside of the niche that you want to work in. So for example, if I went off topic a bit and said like Roblox, PvP, and then I think about it, you know, actually I want to edit Minecraft videos. That's the niche that I found would be best for me. So let me just remove the Roblox PvP part. Now, after you have a list of all keywords that are in your niche that you want to work in, you're gonna just copy the first one and you're gonna search it in the search. Now, some creators are gonna show, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna middle mouse click. So this here, you're gonna click on it on their profiles like this. So it's gonna open a new tab with their profile. As you see here, by middle mouse clicking, it opens a new tab. Now we're gonna go through them, and any Minecraft YouTuber, you're gonna click on his profile with a middle mouse click like this. Just make sure that you don't click on duplicates. So for example, this guy is called Blue, I don't know. And here he is, the same guy. And then you're gonna do this for a while. You're gonna do it until you have like around 50 tabs open. Otherwise, it's gonna start getting too laggy. But you can just do this for a long time. And people complain about not finding creators. While I'm talking to you, I have opened 20 new tabs. And whenever I run out of them, like whenever I start getting way too many duplicates, I just search up something like Minecraft Mods, a different keyword, and now it's completely different creators as you see. Now we continue doing that. Oh, this is a video I edited. Until I have like 50 creators, let's say that's enough. You will try to do 100 a day, so a couple of sessions like this. Now we're gonna go on the first profile, and you're gonna click on him, and you're gonna go to his Twitter, and then you're gonna DM him. Looks like I have DM'd this guy already. He didn't respond to me, but here's the DMs that I use. Hey, Izzy, I've been watching you for a while, and I love the videos. I was wondering if you're looking for an editor. Here's my portfolio. Now the only problem here is I didn't use a question mark, but this is basically like the outreach that you're gonna send to everyone. Just this message, and you're gonna send a link of your portfolio. Now Izzy would click on my portfolio, and he would go through my videos. He would be like, oh damn, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy. Oh, so many views. Oh my god, his editing is good, and then he might want to hire me. But like I told you, most of the creators are not gonna hire you. So I'd imagine I also outreach to this guy because I've done a lot of outreach, and I'd imagine he also didn't hire me. But the idea is you're able to do 100 in like 1 hour. Therefore, if just one person responds to you, so now in 1 hour you get a new client. You're gonna continue doing that, and sometimes you might find someone who doesn't have a Twitter link. Let's say this guy doesn't have a Twitter link. What you're gonna do is you're gonna click on view email address. You're gonna submit it. You're gonna click capture and then submit it, and then send the same exact message but on email. So you're gonna go to email, you're gonna send to him. The headline will be video editor. The body of the email is gonna be, hey, name, I've been watching you for a while and I love the videos. I was wondering if you're currently looking for an editor. Here's my portfolio. And you're gonna do that for each and every tab that you have opened. And after you go through all of the YouTubers that you have clicked on, you're gonna go back to search. You're gonna go to your keyword. You're gonna pick a different keyword. You're gonna search it up, and bam, even more creators that you can outreach to. Also keep in mind that you shouldn't care about how many subscribers a creator has. Like this guy, you cannot say like, oh, he has 73,000 subscribers, therefore he will not be able to pay my prices. I had creators that had literally 1,000 subscribers, paid me like $300 a day, which would be like 9K per month. Now he couldn't afford me for the whole month. He could afford me for like 3 videos a month, but for 3 days of work, I got paid $900. And I also had creators that have millions of subscribers. The most is like, I'm not gonna call his name, but a guy with 8 million subscribers who was not able to pay my prices. I worked with him for a while because I wanted him on my portfolio, but overall, he didn't make enough money for my prices. So the subscribers and views don't matter. It takes you about like 20 seconds to DM someone. So just DM anyone, no matter if it's Mr. Beast or a random kid in his basement. And just like that, you now know how to do mass outreach. Now back to the PowerPoint. So now congrats, you learned a more efficient outreach way that was unlocked after you made some videos. Now we have fixed your outreach problem. Now we have a problem with clients. Your clients simply don't have enough money. They're low potential no matter how much you over deliver. And to fix that, you're gonna need to start client hopping. So here's the thing. YouTubers on average take years to go viral and make a lot of money. But for editors, if you're doing everything right, you'll be making your first 10K per month in less than a year. And if you're working hard, of course. So there is a speed gap between YouTubers and editors, which will make you outgrow all of the YouTubers that you work with. Meaning that your editing would be worth $100, for example. You get hired for $100, and by the time that you improve and are able to charge $200 to new people that aiming you, the YouTubers that you were working with wouldn't be able to afford it, which will make you outgrow him and have to leave him for a higher paying client, which will require the client hop a lot. And I mean a lot, if you want to scale the amount you charge quickly. After that, you'll get hired by bigger YouTubers who have the money to afford higher prices. But for now, you can't change the fact that the clients you work with are simply starting out and simply cannot afford it. You do not have the money for it. So you need to be ready to replace them. Me personally, I didn't work for more to do videos for any YouTubers that I worked with when starting out. Here's how it looked like for me. I would get a higher paying client, so I would drop my current client for him. And then I over-deliver on his video and improve. And then I posted on Twitter and outreach, which leads to me getting a higher paying client, which leads to me to drop in my current client for him. I over-deliver on his videos and I posted on Twitter, and then I get an even higher paying client, which is how I was able to scale so quickly. I improved with each video massively because I took longer than needed to perfect them, which is the bottom step. You cannot skip this one. It's very important. You need to over-deliver and improve with each video. And right away, I would get a higher paying client. So here's how to actionably the best way to drop your clients. Instead of saying, hey, I can't work with you anymore, sorry, one up the price that you recently got. So for example, if your first client was $100 and then a client B came to you, you would tell him that, hey, I charge $200. If he accepts, if he says, alright, that works, then you're gonna go back to your original client and you're gonna tell him, hey, sorry, but I've been getting a lot of work recently, and I have to raise my prices up to $300 per video. Does that fit your budget? Let's say that he accepts. Now you get a $200 and a $300 client. That one message 3x to your income. But let's say that he doesn't accept. He says, sorry, that's outside of my budget. You just tell him, no worries, I understand it. It was nice working with you, and I'll miss you. Mwah. And then he leaves you. Now you work with the $200 client, and it's alright because you were going to drop him anyways. Just to remind you, you got a higher paying client, so you were going to drop him. But this way you have a chance that you might like see extra income instead of dropping him. And lots of times you will see that YouTubers will just accept it. And by using this method, your editing becomes an auction. The more people they aim in you, the more abundance you have, and the higher prices you're able to say. And not care if some of them reject it, because you have other clients. Now I'm going to throw in a caveat, and that is portfolio potential. Usually you shouldn't worry about this because on average the YouTubers willing to pay more are bigger and require better editing. But in that case that a lower paying client is bigger. So for example, if you're working with Mr. Beast and he wants to pay $100 per video, or some guy that has like 20,000 subscribers and he wants to pay you $500, you might want to consider working with Mr. Beast on like one video. So you can just put him on your portfolio. You can say that I worked with Mr. Beast. Even though he paid you less, it will help you get paid more in the future. But usually you won't have to worry about this because higher paying clients are usually just better for portfolio overall. So this is how you manage your client relationships in this stage. You should be prepared to client hop and switch up your clients. Always one up your prices and continue one upping and see the bids for your work go higher and higher. Also as a side note, this is why I made this course into stages. Because in the previous stage, this advice is unactionable because you still haven't gotten your first client yet. And in the later stages, you shouldn't do this because you want to start leveraging the client relationships with the people who pay thousands per video. You should watch this video from beginning to end so you don't miss out on anything. So for example, you might be on this stage and you still haven't made like a pretty good portfolio. So if you watch the first stage, you would know that I give you a portfolio template and showed you how to make a portfolio. But you should focus on the advice that is in your stage. Just watch the full video so you make sure that you don't miss out on anything. So for now, this is what you focus on. Client hopping, one upping your prices. And like that, you fix the problem of the clients not having enough money. You replace them. The bottom line of this stage is you're still very competent and you look unprofessional and unserious for YouTubers. So what you should do is you should improve and become useful. So to recap the stage real quick, for clients, you'll have to client hub a lot and always one up your prices. For your brand, you're gonna start posting your best edits using the 6 concepts we went over. And for outreach, you're gonna start doing mass outreach instead of free edits. For editing, you're gonna start being a copycat. You're gonna learn how to make understandable animations with the 5 concepts we went over and understand how to fundamentally think of animations. And just like that, you're ready to graduate from this stage. Congrats, you made your first $1,000 per month online. And now you're making between $1,000 to $5,000 per month. So where you are, you have made a brand for yourself. And to graduate, you need to build omnipresence, which is an overly complicated word I use for attention, but it basically means that you need to grow your brand. Your constraint in editing is that your animations look average and you don't have that spark. And to graduate, you need to learn how to make fancy animations, which is the third part of the soft acronym we have been going over. In the first stage, we went over how to make smooth animations. In the second stage, we went over how to make understandable animations, and now we're going over fancy animations. If you skipped here, go back and watch these previous 2 stages, since this is all built on top of each other. You need to learn how to make smooth animations, to make understandable animations, to make fancy animations. But now, how to make fancy animations? There are 2 parts to it. First, we need to make the background. Second, we need to add lighting and overlays. And third, we need to add depth to the theme. Again, this is all assuming that you watched the previous 2 stages and know how to make smooth and understandable animations. Now, the average editor just slaps in a solid color background or a low quality image as the background. And first of all, if you're rushing an animation or don't have enough time to make a background, just blur the video's footage. Any solid color or low quality image will just make the animation 5 times worse. So instead of doing that, just blur the footage. Otherwise, if you have the time, then the background is literally half of the animation. It's like you used to main expansion, and bear with me. Yes, individual animations may look cool, but by making a background, you're making a whole scene, a whole domain, which gives you a lot of space to show off your skills. You choose where the animation takes place, the lighting used, the movements, and the speed of them. You choose and can customize everything in the animation. And the backgrounds usually take up about 80% of the screen, which is why it's the first thing that I make in every animation. It separates animations that look like this to animations that look like this. Rule 1 is the background should be relevant to the video's topic and theme. For example, a video I edited that was skydiving themed, I made this background falling out of an airplane where you can see the clouds going past us, you can see the altitude meter on the right, and everything that is shown on the screen is just falling. Or this video that was about unaliving Minecraft dogs, where I made a dog unaliving chamber. in game. If it was a video on living in a desert for 100 days, for example, then make the background desert theme. If it was a video just space related, then make the background space themed. Make the whole animation, everything that happens, just in space floating. And draw number 2 is make these themed backgrounds detailed but not complicated, which you do by adding lots of small details but making them all on the same color scheme. If you had too many colors, it would be too complicated. For example, this desert animation. We have a pyramid, a camel, a sun, sand dunes, which are all yellowish, and the sky is blue. Even though there is a lot of details, they're all on the same color scheme, so it doesn't seem complicated. Or in this skydiving animation, where the background is basically blue and white, with the sun in the corner. The only colors used for the whole background are blue, white and yellow, which makes it detailed but not complicated. Or the dog's animation where it's red and grey. Even though this background is pushing into complexion, and if I was to remake it, I would make it even simpler. But nonetheless, the whole background followed the color scheme of grey to dark red. So think of a background that would fit the video idea, and then make it all using the same color scheme. And add lots of small details, but make them all the same color scheme, so it's detailed but not complicated. And that was making the background now into lighting and overlays, which is still building on top of the background. After finishing the background, start adding lighting and overlays. Overlays being stuff like these clouds that go on top of the animation. Like this tumbleweed bouncing on this desert animation. It was overlaid on top of the animation. Or the fire and moon in this dog's animation. They're both moving, they're both over the actual animation, they're overlays, and they both add life to the animation. These small sub-animation add so much life into the scene. And when in doubt, just use a green screen. Like this dust green screen that they used at the start of the desert animation. You can see it that it starts with a lot of dust and it clears out, which is just a green screen. And you also might have not noticed, but if you looked closely at the camel, you will notice that there are some lightings that reflects onto it from the sun's direction, which is the second thing we'll be adding, lighting. In this desert animation, I added the light on all of the animation using the effect BCC Edge Light, which requires the BCC plugin, but you can make it without the plugin nonetheless. And then in this skydiving animation, they all have light going on them from the sun again. In this dog's animation, you can see the light clearly coming from the windows into the dogs. You can notice like the top part of the dogs is like lit in, but the part that is hidden from the light is dark. That's lighting. And in this animation, you can see a heavy vignette, which shows that the light is coming from the top of the disc and slowly fades on the sides of the screen. Again, this is what separates beginner editors to advanced one. These little small details. And that was lighting and overlays. Overlays being sub-animations that are a part of the background. Lighting being lighting that reflects on the images you use. So now the third thing is depth. What I mean by depth is basically anything to make the animation feel more 3D. Animations shouldn't be flat and look 2D. Even if the animation is 2D, still adding depth make it look way better. So again, small details like blurring the faraway sand dunes and the pyramid in this desert animation, simulating how depth of field looks in near cameras. You can see here an image on the top left. In near cameras, when there's something that we'll focus on, the background gets blurred, especially the faraway background. The more far away they are, the more blurred they become. So I did the same thing with the sand dunes and pyramids. Or the skydiving animation, adding a strong handheld shake on the whole scene, making it look like the camera is unstable because it's falling. That adds depth, it makes it look clear. If we focus on the square that I have added is static, you will notice that everything else is moving around it, but the square is static. Which is something that I always do, by the way. I always add handheld shake to the scenes that I make. I even made it into presets. Depending on the animation, I might use a very high handheld shake, a low handheld shake, a fast handheld shake, or a slow handheld shake, and everything in between. And you can just download all of the presets that I make for myself for free, just using the first link in the description. Also, as a part of the Everything Editing Back, I do free weekly coaching calls, so you can just join and talk to me personally every Saturday. So grab it to add more depth to your animation. Also, a way to add depth to animations is just to put them behind any object, like the clouds in the skydiving scene. Having stuff behind and in front of each other is 3D. That's the third dimension. So if you're going to put some text on footage, just rotoscope the person talking and put the text behind him. That way you easily add more depth to an animation that is otherwise pretty basic. Unlike that, we covered depth, and by adding the background and lighting and overlays and depth to your animations and everything we covered in the previous stages. In the first stage we covered making realistic animations, having no sudden movements, and having no stillness. In the second chapter, we covered explanation, association, eye tracking, pacing, and composition. And in this stage, we covered backgrounds, lighting and overlays, and depth. By adding all of those, you level up your animations by a whole lot. You can rewatch any of these concepts to understand them better. If you skip to this stage, go rewatch them because I went in way more detail than you think. But anyways, just like that, we covered the SAS framework, SAF framework, sorry, that was a typo. You made your animations smooth, understandable, and fancy. And now we're ready to take your animations from looking like this to looking like this. And just like that, congrats, you fix your editing problem. Now into your brand problem. You don't post enough of enough quality. And to fix that, you need to focus on making a couple of perfect videos. What you need to do in this stage is perfect a couple of videos, which will require you to drop your income for a while, which most editors are scared to do. So I'll show you how it's the best thing that you can do. You're most likely one of two types of editor. You're either quality-based editor or a quantity-based editor. I would classify a quantity-based editor as someone who takes less than 3 days per video. Quantity editors get paid less but make up for it with the amount of videos they make. Hey, if you charge $200 per video but take only 2 days to finish a video, then you're making $3K per month. The other type takes 3 days plus per video. I'm a part of this group. Throughout my whole editing career, I took on average a week plus per video. And I just kept increasing my prices from $50 to $6,750 per video. The pro of this method is that you improve way faster than any other editor because you spend more time per video. But both work, and I've seen editors make thousands per month with each. The thing is, even if you're planning to go with the quantity method, you should spend time perfecting a couple of videos. And here's why. You can only show up to 8 videos in your portfolio before it's too overwhelming. I recommend 4 to 6 videos. So you don't need to perfect each video you make. You only need to perfect 4 to 6 videos so the chance of you getting hired is exponentially higher and the prices you can charge multiply. The thing is, after you make a couple of perfect videos to put in your portfolio, you can go back to quantity. So here's an example. Let's say you charge $100 per video and you make videos daily. So that's $3K per month. Congrats. But you want to scale further. So you're outreach to people, but no one is willing to pay more than $100 per video because the quality they see on your portfolio are $100 per video quality. So you start trying to keep up with the daily videos and not being able to raise prices. So here's how you make $10K per month. For 1 month, you tell your current client or find a new client and tell him, hey, client name, is it okay if I spend X days on this video? I really like it and I feel like I can make it perfect. And to be honest with you, I want to put it on my portfolio. So is it okay if I take the time to perfect it? Most likely, they won't tell you, no, give me a worse video. They will accept it. They will tell you, if you want to spend more time on it, knock yourself out. So you spend the extra time and you perfect his video. You do that a couple of times. Now this month, instead of making 3K, you might have only made 1K because you take more time per video. But now we have videos that look like there was $400 per video on your portfolio. Now when you outreach, you got clients for $400 per video because that's the quality they saw on your portfolio. Now if you go back to focusing on quantity and make these videos daily again, now we only lost 2K once in 1 month to make 12K per month every month. We went from taking videos for $100 daily to making videos for $400 daily. You don't have to spend that amount of time on every video. Just enough videos that you can put them on your portfolio. That's basically how my whole career was, but I also never cashed out till I made 10K per month. So when I charged $100, I gave the quality of $300. So I got the client for $300. And when I charged him $300, I gave him the quality of $1,000. So I got the client for $1,000. And when I charged him $1,000, I gave the quality of 3,000. Then I charge thousands per video. So that's why if you're quality focused or quantity focused editor, either way, you should over deliver and perfect a couple of videos. Just enough videos to put in your portfolio. 4 to 6 videos. And that's what you should focus on. If you want to scale further than 1 to 5K, it's way easier than you think. If you just perfect 1 to 6 videos. To wrap this up, by this stage you have to have a blue check mark, have to use a custom domain, preferably have a super clear niche. By this stage, you're making enough money, you should have all of these done. Now you're ready to perfect a couple of videos and build up a Twitter and portfolio like no other. And like that, you fix your brand problem. Now notice the theme of this stage, building omnipresence. You will notice it also with the next 2 stages. The whole point of this stage is improving your brand and just showcasing to the world that you can make fancy animation. Now for the outreach problem, you're not converting enough in DMs. It's super hard to say these huge numbers. When you want to charge $1,000, $2,000 per video, it's pretty hard to send a DM saying, yo bro, I charge $3,000 per video. Is that okay with you? Most likely he will say no. So to graduate, you need to start going on calls to be able to charge $1,000. So if you ever try to buy anything expensive, you would meet a salesman. Same to anything online. You can just buy high-ticket programs. There's no buy button. You have to book a call and talk to a salesperson. Now I guarantee that it would be way easier for them to just put a buy button on a website with some text stating how much is it and just hope that you buy. Way easier than hiring a salesperson, making a sales script, having to handle an insane volume of sales calls, paying commission to these salespeople, paying for subscriptions for the software they use, A/B testing scripts, etc. But there's a reason they do it. There's a reason they pay up to millions per year for a good salesperson. A good salesperson gets paid millions per year. One person. Simply because people convert more on calls. Even though it's way easier to just put a button to buy it right away on the website, they go through all of this work because people simply convert more on sales calls. And same in editing. The chances of you just stating a price in text and hoping the client accepts it right away and sends you a video is way lower than if you went on a call with him. For a couple of reasons. First of all, in a call he can trust that you are a real, sane human being. It increases his trust in you. And number two, you're able to explain his concerns away. You're able to talk to him. He might tell you, bro, I'm not sure. What if like you don't deliver? And you can respond to him right away. You can tell him, well, here's some people that were like you, that I worked with, and here are the videos that I gave them, and here's what they had to say about me. He had a concern, and you just explained it right away. You might then say like, what if we take too long for the video? And then you explain to him how long it will take you. Usually a problem like that, a concern like that, he will just not tell you, and he will just not respond to you at all. But on a call, he will tell you these concerns and you're able to explain them away. And third of all, he makes a commitment by going on a call and will remember you more than all of the other editors. Just put yourself in his shoes. Imagine you're talking to like 20 editors. All of them are in a list in your DMs. There's just editor 1, editor 2, editor 3, whatever. But there's one of them that you went on a call with. Who will you remember more? Editor number 17 or the person that you talked face to face to for an hour? He will remember you more and he will make a commitment to you. And four, it literally just has proven to have higher conversion. Otherwise, big companies won't spend millions to do it. So usually when you get the DMs, they give you details for the video and they have a long conversation of back and forth questioning. If they ask you for your price right away, just ask them about the video, because you literally cannot give them a price before knowing about the video. They just have no experience with editors, so the first thing that comes to mind is the price. They don't know that you need to learn the style of the video, how long the video is gonna be, the footage length, all of this stuff. They don't know. And you don't have to answer them and say like an exact price right away. You can just tell them, my prices depend on the video. What style are you looking for? And you start questioning him about the video to know more about it, to give him a price. So you enter a conversation of questions. And this is all happens in text. You ask them about the deadline, they ask if you can meet it, you answer. And then you ask them about the style, and then you ask them about the footage length and size, etc. What I like to do is answer the first question, and instead of continuing the conversation on text, I ask the second question and say, instead question, so for example, what style are you looking for? And then I say, also by the way, would this be easier to discuss on a call? And then I give them my Discord. I just say, in parentheses, my Discord is, and put my Discord there. Of course, then put my Discord there, I'm gonna take your client, put your own Discord there. Most of the time they will thank you for suggesting it, and they will be more than happy to go on a call. For example, I have a screenshot here. Yes, are you free to call soon? That would be a lot faster to move through the process. It's way faster for both of you. If they reject it, you don't have to push for it, just continue the conversation on text and try to close them on DMs. 80% of the time though, they will just accept it. Now after they add you on Discord, you arrange the time to call. Try to call them same day, next day. This is a common thing in sales. The sooner you can go on a call, the higher the likelihood of them converting. Remember, same day, next day. You go on a call, preferably same day. If they can't, then you go next day, tomorrow. After you arrange a time, here's what you do to close them on the call. Now, there are a few steps, exactly 9 steps, but they're all quite simple. The first stage is rapport building. The second stage is closing stage. Rapport building is basically making them like you and just being a chill person with them on the call. The second stage is after you tell them your price and they either accept it or they reject it and you continue selling them. You don't just say, okay bro, just no worries, see ya. You continue selling them. The sale is not over. So what separates both stages is that rapport is before you say the price. Closing stage is after you say the price. The first step, step 0, is having your camera on and a good mic. You can never look too professional and it will set you apart and give you a good first impression. The first step is to smile and be excited. They want to remember exactly what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And people like when others are excited to meet them. So you're like, hey YouTuber name, what's up bro? I've been watching you for a while bro. And you're just excited to meet him. You have high energy. And then you compliment them. There was a study where they had paid actors compliment random people. These random people knew the actors were paid to compliment them. Even though they knew the compliments were not genuine, when interviewed later, all of them liked the paid actors when they complimented them more than when they did not. So even non-genuine compliments are better than no compliments. The third step is you be interested. Ask them questions on why they're looking for a new editor, what mistakes did their previous editor make, etc. Then questions like what's the deadline for these videos and more logistical questions like the style and footage and stuff like that. The reason you do that is that you want to prove to him that you actually care about him and don't just want to get paid and leave. And when you ask them the questions, just be okay with silence. It's not awkward at all. It gives him a chance to talk. So just talk less and smile more. And think before answering their questions. For example, if they tell you, tell me about yourself. He doesn't want to know you actually. He's basically asking how are you able to help him. Use these moments to sell him on why you're a good editor. So for example, tell me about yourself. Instead of saying, yo bro, I like to play Valorant, I have social anxiety in school and have no friends. Tell him something about editing. Tell him I have been editing for X amount of years. I have worked with this guy and this guy. Video editing is my passion and I edit about 20 hours a day because I find it fun. Now we tell him that you're hardworking, you're passionate about editing, and that you're experienced with editing, instead of telling him that you're a weirdo. The sixth step is be confident in your editing ability. How would you feel if you're about to go on a plane and the pilot is shaking and saying, I don't feel good about this, bro. I wasn't supposed to graduate this fast. Exactly. The client will feel the same way if you don't answer him confidently. If he asks you if you can replicate the style of editing and you tell him, I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to try, it's a bit out of my style, whatever. He's running a business. There's money on the line. So if you're not confident in your abilities, he's not gonna hire you. So after all of these questions are answered, you know a lot about the video and they know a lot about you, it's time to say your price, which makes you enter the closing stage. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna hold frame. I'd be charging X amount. Does it fit your budget? If not, then don't change your price. Just ask more questions and see if you can change other factors like the upload rate or the style. So for example, I charge $500 per video. Does that fit your budget? Oh bro, that's somewhat out of my budget. I want to make like a video every 3 days, so that would be 5K per month. That's out of my budget. That's okay, you don't need to edit each video. You can just make less videos and make them high quality. How about that? I don't know, bro, I feel like it's best for my channel to upload 3 times a day right now. Well, how about we change the style? You wanted this style, but the style is now quite unrealistic for every 3 days. How about we go for a style like this instead? Yeah, honestly, that makes sense. How much would you be charging for the style? For this style, since it would take me less time, I would be charging $300 for it. Yep, that works. And like that, instead of losing the client, you still worked with him, just under different factors. It might not work out. He might want the same exact upload schedule and the same exact style and the same exact lengths. You might want all of them and you're not able to close him. But I even closed a lot of clients by just doing the intros for them. I told them my price per video, they said it's out of my budget, and then they asked me how much I charge per intro. And instead of editing the full video, I edited the intro for them. I charged less, but it took me way less time, and it worked for both of us. So you don't change the prices, you maybe change other factors, but not the prices. Then you try to make him commit to a date. Not a romantic date, sadly, a date where he can send you the video. Ideally, he will send it to you on the call, because of commitment bias. If not, then try to make him send it to you same day or next day again. Because they will never back off when they send you the footage. They cannot. When they give you the footage, they have to pay you. You have officially started working with them. I've never seen anyone send footage to an editor and then not pay him. That's not how it works. When they send you the footage, you're officially working together. So by making him send you footage as soon as possible, you decrease the likelihood of him changing his mind. And then the last stage is after he sends you the video, assume it's paid upfront. Most of them are just inexperienced and they're just waiting for you to tell them if it's upfront or not. If you say nothing, they will just say nothing. That's actually what goes through their head. They say, honestly, I don't know, like, do editors get paid upfront? I don't know, I never worked with an editor. I must just wait and see what he tells me. So assume it's paid upfront. Don't make it like a big deal. Say something like, okay bro, sounds good, I'm downloading it right now, I'll be able to start tomorrow, here's my PayPal. And they send him a link to your PayPal. Most of the time he will just do it. If he questions it and wants to change it, make it 50%, 50%. And like that, you're able to charge higher prices and close at higher percentages. And that fixes your outreach constraint. Now your constraint in clients is that they want simple editing, which stops you from doing insane animations. So what you do in this stage is you prioritize work potential rather than money. In the meantime, later you can go back on focusing on money, which is actually what we're gonna do in the next stage. But for now, your goal is to make a portfolio, showing off all of the skills you learned. It's like you've been doing wax on, wax off for a long time, and now you're ready to fight and showcase that you have improved. For the ones of you who have gone for a quality approach since the beginning, this will be easy, like we covered in the branding stage. The YouTubers you work with want quality over quantity already, so you can just spend more time on the videos you're working on. But for those who are working with quantity-based YouTubers who want a lot of videos quickly, then you fundamentally have 4 options. You convince them to take more time on one video to make it better. Hey, name, is it okay if I spend X days on this video? I really like it and feel like I can make it perfect. And to be honest, I want to put it on my portfolio. So is it okay if I take the time to perfect it? You just send them this DM. You can honestly just copy it from here, I don't care. And most likely they will accept it. But if they don't, then you're gonna have to start working with them for a while. Just long enough that you're able to perfect a couple of videos for your portfolio. Again, notice the theme of this stage. Perfect a couple of videos for your portfolio. So it's the only focus right now. If you can't do that, then you might want to drop them completely and find some new clients. And if you really can't drop them, then you try to scale without taking the time to improve and improve your portfolio, which is possible, but it's way slower than if you did. Ideally, you would go for approach 1, which is you convince them to take more time on one video. But otherwise, any of the other 3 options work. And there are definitely people who made lots of money by just word of mouth and never actually pushed themselves in any video. Though that approach is reliant on luck. So if you want to guarantee making more money, you need to take the time to improve your Twitter and portfolio by perfecting a couple of videos. Again, this is your number one goal in this stage, perfecting a couple of videos. If you're dealing with clients who want quality over quantity, then you don't have this problem at all and you don't have to follow any of the 4 steps we went over. You should spend more time on the video and most likely they will be okay with it. This approach is only for the people who feel like they don't have the time to perfect a couple of videos just because of the sheer quantity of the videos they take on. If that's you, then again, you fundamentally have 4 options. You convince them to take more time on one video, you start working with them for a while, you drop them completely and find new clients, or you don't do any of them and it will just take you longer to progress. And just like that, you fix your client's problem. Now, the bottom line of all of this is that you're not scarce enough, which stops you from charging more because you don't have the demand for it. So to fix that, you need to take the time to prove that you can make the best, most perfect, insane videos ever. Now, to recap this whole stage, for editing, you need to learn how to make insane animations that have lots of depth and make you stand out using the 3 concepts that we went over. For clients, you need clients who allow you to focus on quality, to be able to scale faster from this stage. And you get them by following the 4 approaches we went over. For the brand, you have already done all of the small tips and checks. If you haven't, then go back and watch the previous stages. But now the only thing left for your brand is perfecting a couple of videos. And for your outreach, you start closing on calls for higher conversion using the 9 steps we went over. And just like that, you have finished this stage and are prepared to graduate to the next stage. Ta-da! Congrats, you're now making more than 5k per month. But you want more, you want to hit the magical 10k per month number. So where you are, you already got some good clients, but you just need to 1 to 2x your income. And to do that, you're gonna have to leverage and then cash out. So if you noticed here, all of the previous chapters, there were 4 constraints and 4 solutions. But by this time, you have fixed most of the problems that you had in editing, outreach, clients, brand. And the only 2 things left is an editing constraint and a client constraint. And we're gonna go over both of them. For the editing constraint, perfecting means your editing slow. And to graduate, you need to choose when you want to cash out, which is the theme of the entire stage. In all the last stages, we went over all of the practical advice to make more money. If you skipped here, go back and watch them, since this part assumes that you have done everything else. If you did, then you need to plan when you want to start thinking long term, quote unquote, and just cash out and make lots of money. You can think quote unquote long term forever, and maybe a year later you'd be able to make 20k per month instead of 10k per month and work with Mr. Beast or something. In that case, you just skip this chapter completely and you just do what we did last chapter, but just for a way longer time. You continue perfecting videos and you continue using the checks we covered last stage. But me personally, I never wanted to be the best editor ever. I had family debts to pay, and since I lived in a third world country and I still do, if I just worked a normal job and saved up, it would have literally taken me 9 years to pay off the debt. Just by saving every penny and not spending anything, it would have taken me 9 years of work. So me personally, I didn't want to be the best editor ever. I just wanted to make money. And more specifically, I wanted to hit the first milestone of entrepreneurship, which is 10k per month. The magical number. After 10k per month, you can switch to any business you want. You can become a YouTuber like my friend Woozy did. You can go into investing with the new money you made. You can mentor editors or mentor YouTubers on editing. You can start anything more scalable. And you would have learned all the lessons you need about branding, hard work, organic content, how to talk to clients, how to close clients, how to set up your pricing, how to accept payments, how to run a business. All of them are lessons that will help you when you switch businesses. So I'm going to walk you through the fastest way to go from 5 to 9k per month to 10k per month, if that's your goal as well. And that's to pull back on the quality and start making more videos. Usually the last 20% of improvement you do on videos take 80% of the time. So that's the 20-80 rule. Meaning you could make 5 mid animations or 1 amazing animation. Now in all of the last stages, I always encouraged you to make the 1 amazing animation every time. And that's to 1, improve, and second, build up your portfolio. But if you reach this stage following the advice I gave on the second and third stages, then you already made a couple of perfect videos for your portfolio. And now you can decide if you want to continue building or if you want to cash out and just make more money. Assuming your goal is 10k, then I'd recommend slowing down on building, since the results are diminishing from here. Meaning that, in my opinion, the time it will take you to go from 10k to 20k per month is longer than the time it took you to go from 0 to 10k per month. So in my opinion, it's not worth it to build upon like 10k per month. You can if you want, but it will take an excessive amount of time. You want to learn much more, you will just continue doing what you're already doing for a longer time. Therefore, what I recommend in this stage is to stop perfecting every edit and start taking on more videos. The YouTubers you work with want to notice the difference between a 10 out of 10 edit and an 8 out of 10 edit. Your 8 out of 10 edit right now is better than your 10 out of 10 edit a couple of months ago. So spend less time per edit and take on more videos. And like that was the first part, which is editing. Now into clients. You're scared to ask for stupidly high numbers. And to fix that, you need to build the correct leverage to 1 to 2x your prices. Now into the second part of actually cashing out. What to say to your clients. You're scared to ask for stupidly high numbers. So in this stage, what I recommend doing, since you already have clients that pay you from 5 to 9k per month, is to make more videos for them. Or if they don't have more videos, you raise your prices instead of finding new clients. These clients already have the money, and it's pretty rare to find 10k per month client. Most of the time, there's just 5k per month clients that you raise prices on or make videos faster for. It's pretty rare to find a job that the starting payment on it is 10k per month. At the start of your journey, I told you that you will and should client hop a lot, as in change your clients a lot and ask for higher prices like 1 to 2 videos in. Because the clients back then simply didn't have enough money to afford it. But the clients right now, if they're paying you between 5 to 9k per month, then they do have the money for 10k per month. So now the easiest path to 10k is, instead of replacing them and trying to find someone who will pay you 10k starting out, is that they will just be 1 to 2xing the prices you charge, or 1 to 2xing the amount of videos you take on. And the most sure way of increasing your prices, if that's what they want to go with, is building leverage and then increasing it all at once. So let's start with explaining what I mean by leverage. In any deal, there's an A side and B side. There's a side that has more power than the other side. If you try to make a deal with Google, they have insanely more leverage than you, because they won't lose anything without you. Meanwhile, this deal might save you years of work, which means they have higher negotiating power. They can charge you more, require more from you, and not care if you accept it or not. In the art of the deal, it explains that the person willing to walk away from the deal has higher leverage, meaning that you're able to charge more if you become so useful that the YouTuber needs you. He'll find that replacing you will cost more than just accepting your prices. And you do that by proving that you're helpful to him by doing two things. One, you work with him for longer. Ideally, you would work with him for a couple of months, 2 to 3 months before increasing your prices at all. And second, you will never miss a deadline and always be helpful to him by going the extra mile. An example for this is doing all-nighters when needed for the channel, which I did a lot. Whenever we had a sponsor deadline, I just stayed awake for days. The most I stayed awake was 57 hours editing without sleep. Why? To prove to him that I was useful. With every more months you work with a YouTuber, the more leverage you have. Because you know his style more, you become better at it, and you become fundamentally important for the channel. The channel cannot run without you. So knowing that 10k per month clients are just 5k per month clients that you raise prices on or make more videos for, the best move you can take is to work with them for a few months to build the leverage, then decide when you think you're ready to cash out and 1 to 2x your prices to make 10k per month. So leverage, then cash out. And like that, you have fixed your problem with your clients. The bottom line of all of this is that you just need to 1 to 2x your prices. You've done all of the hard work already. It's pretty easy from here. And you do that by building leverage and abundance. Then you make a conscious decision of when you want to cash out by making more videos and raising your prices. And like that, you're ready to make 10k per month. Now, you're ready to take action. I do have one more gift for you though. I've spent months on it, and it will literally save you months and years of work. I've perfected it to be pure value, and I'll give it to you for completely free. There isn't even an opt-in. I don't even want your email. You can just download it. It's the Everything Editing Pack. You don't realize how much time it will save you, because inside you will find weekly coaching calls with me. I hold them every Saturday, and no matter what stage you're on, you can just come on and ask me any questions you want. And inside you'll also find the 10k scaling roadmap, which is this video. This whole video is just a part of the pack. I just uploaded it here on YouTube, so you can get a taste of what the pack looks like. You'll also find 14,000 plus sound effects and 600 plus music, all non-copyrighted, all sorted out and with videos explaining how to use them. You'll also find 200 plus pieces that I've taken forever on, and I've made sure to perfect each one of them. And I've made them all in a way that doesn't take away from your creativity, while also saving you lots of time. You also find 2 project files of mine with breakdown videos of them. And you also find portfolio and Twitter templates inside of the pack. And most important of these, all are listed on weekly coaching calls, because you will have personal coaching with me every week on Saturday. Ask me any questions, review or editing, stuff like that. And I do it completely for free. So if you have any question, just grab it, join the Discord, and ask me any questions you have. The Everything Editing Pack is the first link in the description. Go and grab that now, and thank you for watching. See you inside of the pack.